Are you getting audio through your headphones?
I'm getting audio. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Did it help with the echo?
Yes. So we're live. Uh, I am Techno Guy 3. And by the way, I I introduced you as Pablo. I hope you don't hate me for that.
It's a bit of an old name, but sure.
Um, so we're gonna be ranking every single episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender, not the Blue People movie.
We are also
Um,
not touching Korra.
we are not we're not touching Korra. I think all the Korra episodes would be in D tier on this chart anyway. So, who are you and why are you here?
I am your friend. We've known each other since probably kindergarten, if not before.
So
And
should I tell the people that we made a video together a long time ago and that they can actually
that
find it on YouTube?
we should keep that video hidden. In fact, let's just never speak of this again.
Okay. So don't go looking for that video. Oh hey, look, somebody joined the stream. Man in form says this freaking dude leaving for 3 years then comes back like nothing happened, lol. So my last video was my last video was a stupid meme video that I did about Clarence Thomas, but the last video that actually mattered was Game of Thrones failed fan, so it's your fault. Yeah, I blame the audience.
I'm sure that went over well.
Yeah, so there was a lot of people in the comments section who were very angry at me for that, but I stand by what I said, and I'm 100% objectively correct. So anyway, this is not the Game of Thrones channel anymore. This is now the Avatar: The Last Airbender channel, which is far more relevant than Game of Thrones in the year 2023. I'm not. The reason I haven't done a House of the Dragon video is because House of the Dragon is meh at best, and it's just not worth. Like, I'm just not excited for it like it was Game of Thrones. So let's get into ranking some shit now. I think I'm allowed to say shit. This far into the video. Channel nuked. I don't remember what it is, but it's like the first 30 seconds you're not allowed to curse. So let me find the window that I closed that had all the Avatar episodes. So obviously, do you want to just go in order?
Sure. I might need a little brushing up on some of the episodes. I know we watched the entire series together, but that was over the course of like a year. So some cases
that was like a year ago, also
2 years at this point, actually. But yeah.
Okay, yeah, whatever. It was a long time ago. Anyway, I'll read the plot synopsis for the episode to jog our memories.
Mm-hmm.
So episode 1, and I know like you're the biggest fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender, I know, but I feel like your opinion has softened on how good the show is after having rewatched it.
Yes, I still love it, but there's definitely, if you rewatch the series now that you're older, you might walk away with different opinions about some of the characters and their actions and their intelligence.
The other thing is the feminism stuff would annoy me a lot more today than it did back then.
Yeah, that one, when we get to the episode that I'm sure everyone knows about, we're going to have some choice things to say about it.
Yeah. Okay, so season 1, episode 1 is The Boy in the Iceberg. And by the way, I'm slightly sick, so everybody's going to have the pleasure of listening to my slightly sick, disgusting voice for the next 3 hours or whatever. So I apologize for that in advance. It's The Boy in the Iceberg. It is the prime episode, the first episode of the series, the best one. Objectively wrong, it's not. So Katara and Sokka discover a 12-year-old boy frozen in an iceberg and wonder if he's the long-lost Avatar who went missing 100 years ago. So what is your opinion in the year 2023 on the first episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender?
I have it. I have a list pulled up of the episodes. It doesn't have the um, synopsis, but it lets me know when they were made. And I have to say, the first episode, um, it's a fine enough first episode. It pretty much explains a lot of the characters. You get a very good sense of who they are, first of all. But the animation quality, especially when you compare it to literally the next couple episodes, like, it's not great. I put it firmly in a B tier, where you're not going to remember a whole lot of scenes from this episode, but you will get a good feel. It's not top five. It was a good intro. Yeah, I would say with that, it's a good intro, but it's not a top fiver. I would say it's just meh, B tier, just because of the animation.
Yeah, I tend to agree with everything you just said. And also the first episode just frankly is not that interesting. It's just, but it serves as a good pilot.
Mm-hmm.
It introduces you to the characters. Episode 2, I think, is really where the show gets interesting. Maybe
Yeah.
even episode 3 is where the show like actually pulls you in. Um, I'm not a huge fan of the first episode. Like, I could take it or leave it, but I do think they did a good job with what they had. So I would probably agree with B tier.
Yeah.
And I can forgive them the poor animation quality thing. It was the pilot. They didn't know what budget they were going to have, so that's fair, right?
Yeah, and this is going to be the same thing with the second episode, because their animation, if I remember correctly, wasn't that great either. But I think they were a twofer. Like, they made both episodes at the same time as the pilot, and so that's probably going to be my opinion for the second episode too. But if you want to go into the dialogue was cringy. I'll admit that.
The
The
dialogue is a
only
little cringy throughout.
Yeah, the only thing I think is really notable dialogue wise in the first episode was Aang acting like he was dying and then saying, "Will you go penguin sledding with me?" And that's what everyone remembers.
Yeah, which is a great introduction to the character, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's just move on to since we all agree on episode 1. I think where we're gonna diverge is gonna be like Secret Tunnel.
When we get to the controversial episodes,
Secret Tunnel. And maybe the Great Divide, we might disagree on that one as well. So episode 2, the Avatar returns. Prince Zuko, a young firebender whose mission in life is to capture the Avatar, tracks Aang down to the Southern Water Tribe village where Katara and Sokka live. What are your thoughts?
I would say it's B tier too. You get a little bit more action, obviously, because that's when you get introduced to the villains, or villains for at least this season. And I think it does a good job of introducing them too, a lot like episode 1. You get to see the scene where Zuko gets mattressed by Aang, which I enjoy.
Oh yeah, that did happen in episode 2.
But it isn't super action focused because, again, I think that was wrapped in with the first episode as a pilot to introduce all the characters, which it does. It's a competent episode, not a top 5 episode. Sokka gets humiliated, as will become standard throughout these, especially season 1. So it shows Zuko being competent, which don't get really used to.
I like this episode better than episode 1 for sure. However, like, I give episode 1 a little bit more leeway than I give everything after episode 1. So like I agree with you. Like, it belongs in B tier. So B tier. And this is on an Avatar curve, by the way. I think both of us, well, more or less we agree Avatar is one of the best animated shows of all time. So
I'd probably just say one of the best shows, period, of all time. I know it's a kid's show, and people are gonna not. It deals with a lot of really serious issues and stuff that I think adult shows do not deal as well with. Even though it's made for kids, it's something that everybody can enjoy.
I agree, and there's some dark shit in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Speaking of, season 1, episode 3, the Southern Air Temple. Does anything interesting? I think this episode. Nothing interesting happens in this episode. We should just. I'll just put this right into B tier, and we don't even have to discuss it.
Oh yeah, complete filler episode. There's no grand revelation. There's nothing to really talk about. It's just they go to the Southern Air Temple. Everything's fine.
This is fine. So this guy says, "Okay, get to the point." I don't know what he's referring to, but he does have a Trump avatar.
Okay. Read the synopsis.
Oh yeah, the synopsis. Aang is eager to take Sokka and Katara to the Air Temple, where he was raised. How nice. But it seems that the temple is not at all how Aang remembers it.
Yeah. To my child brain, I kind of saw the reveal coming. I think we all did. It's not like it's in the fucking title or something. Sorry for swearing. But I would say this is an S or A tier, just because the reveal is very strong, especially when you see his master, and just it's a very iconic scene. Just seeing what was his master's name?
Gyatso.
Just seeing him there, surrounded by all those dead firebenders, and the build-up is very nice. And the
speaking of, are we going to discuss how like Gyatso is surrounded by dead bodies? This pacifist monk.
Do with it as you will.
So I really, really wonder the degree to which the Air Nation or what, like, how much do they actually believe what they say because of just this.
Yeah, Mr. Like Aang had to fight the Fire Lord and he didn't want to kill him. And Monkey Yatsu is
Monkey Yatsu just
casually takes out an entire company of Fire Nation troopers.
Mowing fuckers down. Okay. So I agree, it definitely belongs in at least A tier. I wouldn't quite say S, but I'm also not sure, like, on the Avatar curve. I might move some of this stuff around. It's a good episode. It is very strong. It really does make you sympathize with Aang. It's a good episode. And also, Katara and Sokka do not ask Aang's name at this point, just for the record.
Wait,
yeah,
I thought they did in the first episode, or he at least.
Yeah, I'm joking about the last Airbender movie. All right, Shamalama Ding Dong. Yeah, I think A tier. Do you disagree with that?
I would say A tier. Yes, also the first time you technically see the Avatar state, even though it's not mentioned, it's not directly spoken about.
That's true. That kind of makes me want to put it in S tier, but I'm gonna wait. We're gonna do this one, episode 4, The Warriors of Kyoshi. Aang is treated like a celebrity when the locals discover he is the Avatar, while Sokka meets some female warriors.
B tier.
Well, that was fast.
Yeah. There's not much this episode other than Aang gets a big head, and then everyone gets really bored of the same tricks over and over again. He starts learning that his actions have consequences, which is nice. The feminism stuff of Sokka being a misogynist is kind of silly. I'm going to say I don't particularly care for that subplot. Like,
Are you watching me put this in C tier? We're disregarding your judgment.
Yeah.
What? Man of Form says, Techno Guy, why do I think you'd be a guy to hate Katara? I do not hate Katara, not in any sense of the word hate. I do not hate Katara.
Yeah, we think we'll get to those episodes when we think she makes silly decisions, but we don't hate her as a character. She's a very good character. She's the mom of the group. She's the heart of the group. When we get to the desert episodes, we're gonna have very high praise for Katara, but
I will say that I kind of dislike Suki.
Suki is a bit of a nothing burger. We don't know much about her. If you want more about her, you have to go to the comics, but you don't see her enough to really feel anything for her, to be quite honest. She's kind of bland.
Yeah, that's my argument for C tier here. Like, I have nothing against this episode. I like it, but I don't really care for Suki. Like, I don't really care about the Kyoshi Warriors at all. How does this episode really forward the primary plot? I'm not sure. Only insofar as it introduces more characters.
Yeah, I think it does show Aang the consequences of just goofing around, because they're on the island for a good while, and that's why the village ends up getting set on fire by the Rhino troopers.
Yeah, and
Because he
that's the other
realized,
thing. Is like I feel like Aang. I do really like the Rhino troopers though. Those are really cool.
that is the cool. But as a kid, I always wanted to ride one of those things, just like.
Okay, all right, you convinced me. B tier.
We introduced the greatest heroes of the story, the Rhino troopers.
The Rhino troopers. Yeah. I don't know that there's nothing to. I don't like how. I do not like how Aang is like cartoonish. Like, I realize it's cartoon, but he's like cartoonishly immature in this episode. Like, there's no self-awareness at all, and like I get that he's supposed to be 10 and whatnot, but like
12.
Oh yeah, 12. But like I feel like they overplayed it a little bit, and they made him almost not likable in the way he was interacting with Katara and so forth. So like that kind of makes me want to put it like in between B and C. I'm just gonna do that. In between B and C.
All right. Next episode, I guess.
Next. So the next episode is The King of Omashu.
You're already putting an S tier, aren't you?
It's so good. This one doesn't have a synopsis, but it doesn't need one.
Everyone knows about the King of Omashu. We are introduced to the best grandpa.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah. It honestly, with the flashback, as a kid, I thought that was a good reveal, but now, like, as an adult, I'm like, they showed that flashback for a reason. You knew it was going to be him. Yeah. I like the reveal of the rock candy, that he was just basically messing with Aang the entire time.
Yeah. My problem with this episode is that Boomy is like a terrible person. I love him, but he's a terrible person for putting Aang through that.
Emotionally, yeah. He didn't know that.
You just traumatized him for like no fucking reason. But I did really enjoy the episode. Also, Omashu, like just like the slides that they used to deliver cargo and stuff, it was very inventive. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, that is something that is missing with The Legend of Korra. Not to get down this train too much, but the kind of world building. What would the world look like if we had bending? And using a cart system, using carts of like clay, is very inventive. That's something people would actually do, because it would be useful. It would be something that you would do, because someone would think of, hey, why am I using a mule to pull this stuff around the city, going around all the side streets? It takes like an hour to get where I need to be. What if I just use a slide?
I'm pretty sure that we would develop radio and automobiles at the same time, 80 years after the events of Avatar: The Last Airbender. It makes sense to me.
I mean, the Fire Nation already had tanks and stuff, including the race car tank.
I think what happened was Republic City kidnapped the Fire Nation scientists.
And they had Operation Paperclip. Does anyone disagree with our assessment about King Boomy being the best and this episode being great?
No. I mean, the only person listening right now is Man-Inform, so Man-Inform does not disagree. He does disagree that Boomy is terrible. Which I mean, he traumatized Aang for no reason. He threatened to kill his friends.
Yeah, he didn't know it
What
was a joke.
what
That's
a
the thing.
lunatic.
They weren't in real danger, but Aang didn't know that. For all he knew, his friends could have died. They could have suffocated to death in the rock candy.
So Boomy is not any better than that Earth Kingdom general in season 3 or whenever that was, that also threatened to kill Katara and Sokka in order to bring out the Avatar state.
That's second season. I think that's one of the first episodes of season 2.
Okay, we'll get there. Okay, so the next episode, Imprisoned. Season 1, Episode 6. Aang and his friends meet Haru, an earthbender who is forced to hide his abilities. Katara convinces Haru, it's Haru, right? Haru, to help save a man's life, but Haru is arrested. What do you think?
Yeah, this is the start of. I say it's somewhere between B and A. This is the start of where I'm talking about with Katara sometimes not thinking through her actions, because she knows if he's an earthbender, he's going to be arrested. But she encourages him to do earthbending because it's part of who he is, which is true. But what the obvious happens, he gets arrested. I like the joke with the rock how they use the air grate to make Katara look like an earthbender. Katara did not plan out the breakout scene very well. She the first one, she just decides to like, hey, earthbenders, let's have a prison ride and break out free, and everybody ignores her because obviously they're firebenders, they have weapons, and you're a bunch of dudes in rags.
I like that a lot. That her initial thing, it failed miserably.
I do agree. I like that her first attempt to do that failed. It because I think it's Pixar had a writing like advice saying that characters aren't known for their successes; they're known how to deal with their failures. So I thought the steel prison was cool. That's also an inventive idea. Like, what would you do with earthbenders? Well, there's earth everywhere. Well, you take them to the ocean and you put them on something not made of earth. I would have gone with wood personally, but apparently the Fire Nation just has massive amounts of ore deposits, like ungodly amounts of iron.
Yeah, so I agree with all of that. I think a lesser show would have had Katara's first attempt work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really remember, like, how did they end up breaking out?
If I remember correctly, Aang managed to use the steam to push out the coal, and then the earthbenders could fight with coal because it was earth.
Okay, yeah. That's kind of, that feels a little contrived, but like whatever. I'm tempted to, I really like this. It's one of the episodes that I like remember. Like a lot of the episodes on the list, it's like I'm kind of have to jog my memory to remember. But this one's like, oh yeah, I remember the prison episode. It was inventive. I liked I liked Haru. I mean, I didn't like Haru, but like I liked him as a plot device.
He served his purpose.
Yeah. I like the warden.
Yeah, I like how I just heard Katara try to raise a prison riot and just completely ignores her because he realizes that they are already so hopeless that this doesn't change anything.
Yeah, and that's dark. You know,
Yeah.
This is again like Avatar introducing children to concepts that they're going to have to be familiar with in life. But like, yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. I'm tempted to put it in A tier. What do you think?
I would go with B tier because there are still flaws. It is kind of a meh episode. There's not a lot that really jumps out to me about the episode, if that makes sense. It's a serviceable episode. And like you said, it deals with the dark theme of like hopelessness, which is something kids will have to deal with. But I would probably put it like A minus B plus because of that, because nothing really sticks out, if that makes sense.
All right, A minus. I'm going to put it in between. I'm going to need to save space on this tier list anyway, so.
Yeah, you might have to make a separate tier list for the other seasons.
Okay. Season 1, Episode 7. There's a lot of episodes, by the way. We're going to have to like hammer these out. Season 1, Episode 7, Winter Solstice, Part 1. Aang, Katara, and Sokka arrive at a town being terrorized by a mysterious force from the spirit world. Aang realizes he has much to learn about being the Avatar. What do we
Okay,
think?
that's where the panda thing is attacking the town.
Yeah, the
And,
panda thing attacks the town.
and this is the first time he talks to Avatar Roku, or does he just meet his dragon in this one?
I don't think. I think Avatar. I think he doesn't meet Avatar Roku until the next episode.
Okay, yeah.
Man Inform says beautiful episode. So if you can remind us, like you sound like you know what you're talking about.
It is a very well animated. I still remember the creature and what it looks like. The spirit that's attacking the
Oh
village.
yeah,
That
yeah.
is.
Clearly, it's been in my nightmares ever since.
It looks like something that would have come out of like a Ghibli film, if that makes sense. Like, it really reminded me for some reason of some of the creatures you see in Spirited Away.
Yeah, I concur.
I think
Yeah, I
this is
can't. Oh, go ahead.
I think this is a 2 for episode because the next episode is the Winter Solstice Part 2, Avatar Roku. So
Yeah. So let me. I'm just gonna put this on screen here. Part 1 and Part 2. We'll rank them separately, but like we'll do it at the same time. So during the winter solstice, Aang must reach a Fire Nation temple while dodging Prince Zuko, Commander Zhao, and the fire sages who guard it. So this is, I think, this is the first. This is the first episode where they had like a 3-way fight, where it was like it was Zuko versus Zhao and the fire sages versus Aang and gang.
I don't think Zhao was even introduced yet.
Are you sure? No. Zhao was introduced here.
I don't think. I think when they first introduced Zhao, that's when Zuko and Zhao have the Agni Kai.
I don't remember when they had the Agni Kai, but I think you're right.
So
but I think Zhao was in this episode. Zhao worked with the fire sages.
I don't believe so. I think it was just the fire sages.
Well, it says in the synopsis that Commander Zhao was in it.
I think that's when Zuko meets Zhao. That's when they have to explain why is his ship all messed up, and eventually he reveals that he knows about the Avatar and that he's going to be trying to take over and capture him, and that's when they have the Agni Kai.
Okay, if this is the episode with the Agni Kai, then this episode is like way up there.
I would go A for the first one for part 1 and S for the second one because the Agni Kai was really cool. And it also features one of the rare Zuko W's.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. So we're gonna put two eps or part 2 in S tier, and we're gonna put part 1 in A tier. And also, what did they discover? What was they discovered that they have the about the comet, right?
No, that doesn't come until season 2.
Okay.
I think, or no, maybe. This is when they found out about the Avatar state, and that if Aang dies in the Avatar state, that's the end of the line for the Avatar.
Okay. So episode 9 is the waterbending scroll. Now this, I feel like we've reached a contentious episode. What do you think about this episode?
I have mixed feelings. It's kind of BS. I know Aang is a prodigy, but he was a prodigy in airbending, and I know airbending and water bending are very close to each other. But the fact that he's so good at it at the very beginning is kind of silly. He just picks it up immediately.
He's kind of a Gary Stu.
He's kind of a Gary Stu in this episode. And I do like how Katara is really angry about it.
I like that as well. It's almost an anti-feminist message. It's like anti the message.
But
where the man is
it,
just good at it and the woman's not. Like you never see that.
yeah, and I don't like how he's good at it at the beginning. If it was some other way, like a waterbending master, like that makes more sense. But and just being good at it, it makes it Gary Stew. And I actually do like the ressentiment of Katara has, which is hating someone that's better than you at something. Because that's a feeling we're all gonna get at one point. We're gonna be good at something, be really proud of it, and then we're gonna see someone better, and we're gonna dislike that person a little. So it's a good emotion to try to teach kids that you have to deal with. Man in Form is talking about how we need the synopsis. We didn't read the synopsis.
When Katara's desire to master waterbending gets the best of her, the group find themselves on the run from pirates.
Oh yeah, Katara steals the waterbending scroll, which I do
Katara
like.
does steal. Yes, she does. There's so much like moral ambiguity in the show, uh, where like you can make a good argument that stealing the scroll was the correct thing to do, especially since that they stole it. Uh, the issue that I have with the waterbending scroll is like the contrived. It's like the contrived third act breakup, but we're not even in the third act yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like I hate that.
What do you mean?
So Aang hides the thing, right? Or am I missing something?
Are you talking about the letter?
Oh, the letter. That's a different
That's
episode.
that's a different episode. You're getting your episodes mixed up.
Well, yeah, that's why I brought you here.
No.
Okay, so this one just has the pirates, and Katara steals the scroll. And the pirates, do the pirates work with the Fire Nation or work
Yeah,
with
they work with
Zuko?
Zuko. They work with Zuko,
Yeah.
and
No,
they
I love this episode. I don't have any complaints about this episode.
yeah. It also has the shipping bait when Katara's like running away from the pirates, and Zuko like grabs her and says, "I can protect you from the pirates," and that's how that ship started.
All right, D tier it is. I'm kidding. I'm very tempted to put it in S because I really like this episode.
Okay,
What do you
I'll
think?
be going ARS because I remember a lot of this episode. It was fun. The pirates were fun. Seeing Zuko try and use the pirates to his benefit and failing was fun. He also takes the his Katara's grandmother's necklace, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah, and that plays a role in the future as well.
Yep.
So Man Informed says it's a D. It's the episode where she got jealous of Aang, and yet like I don't really have a problem with that. Yeah, no, I don't think I really have a problem with that. Like it feels like it's character development, and Katara does eventually become a much better waterbender than him. So I don't know. This is fine.
Yeah, she had no one to teach her, so it makes sense she wouldn't exactly be the best. She's basically a skilled amateur when it comes to waterbending.
Do you know what the next episode is?
Jet.
It's Jet. What do you think about Jet?
Obvious villain is obvious. I think everybody who watches episode even as a kid is just like, wow, Jet's gonna do something morally ambiguous. And he does something morally ambiguous and kind of stupid.
Yeah. So I Man Inform disagrees with me on everything. Except Game of Thrones, probably. S. He says S. What's wrong with you? Okay. People didn't like it, but I did. Okay. I hate Jet as a character.
He is overly cool in a way that
the bad boy trope. It's just disgusting, and I hate it.
Yeah, it does make sense that Katara falls for him instantly because he is kind of cool, bad boy. But I think that because of that, it also shows a really good thing of like this is also a great episode for Sokka because he sticks to his guns the entire time.
Sokka was right.
Sokka was right, and And not only that, it's he's able to see Jet's manipulation for what it is. Like when they attack the old man, and Jet's like, "No, he had this dagger that was poisoned." And he's like, "I did not see any dagger on that old man that you tried to murder."
Yeah.
And Sokka is the one who evacuates the village. He's the one who saves the day, not Aang, not Qatar. Um, yeah, the leaf in the mouth. That's silly.
Yeah, I hate that.
Um, this is a great episode for Sokka because it shows that he is probably the brains of the group, and a very like not over the top like science way. He's just the one who can logic everything.
Yeah. So this episode has pluses and minuses. I hate Jet, but I love this as a Sokka episode. Aang is just kind of oblivious the whole time, which okay. I do like that. Obviously, Avatar: The Last Airbender. The overarching message of the show is war is bad. um, and I do like how this kind of like when you're a kid, this kind of does introduce the concept of like, okay, there's the bad guys, but like not everybody on this team is a bad person.
Yeah.
And they really humanize the Fire Nation in this episode. And I think this is the first episode where they really do that.
Yeah.
I mean, other than Sokka, or not Sokka, or other than Zuko, sorry, they haven't really humanized the Fire Nation until this episode.
Except for Uncle Iroh, but that's a special
Well, yeah, but
case.
Iroh is definitely a special case, and he's still a special case. He's always felt like a special case.
Yeah, but this is the first time they show that like the Fire Nation people are just people, because the guards weren't like, "Oh, abandon the town, let the civilians die." They help the people leave.
Yeah, yeah. So like even the Fire Nation soldiers are not necessarily bad people, and I like that a lot. You know, it feels like I don't need that lesson today as an adult, but like as a kid, that did impact my thinking.
Not everyone against you is bad, and not everyone on your side is good.
Correct. So like I'm tempted to like maybe like I hate Jet so much that it just knocks it down.
It's very tropey when it deals with Jet. Just like, oh, we need the cool bad. The only way that if he was in Korra, he would drive a motorcycle.
Correct. Yes. 100%. So I'm going to put it like here, in between B and C. Do you disagree with that?
Yes.
What do you?
I do hate Jet, but I think it's because I hate Jet that I enjoy seeing him get knocked down a peg by the end. So I would put it in B or A personally because I hate Jet. It's the exact reason that you have for putting it in C that I want to put in A because I hate Jet.
But Jet is supposed to be a sympathetic character. Like they want you to feel bad for him.
I think it doesn't. I don't think they want you to feel bad for him. I think they show how he's using his past trauma to. Should I watch Korra? No. You have better things to do with your time than watch Korra.
You don't even know this man. He might be an unemployed NEET.
Even if you're an unemployed NEET, there are better things you could watch. Psycho-Pass.
Didn't I introduce you to Psycho-Pass?
Yes, and I still haven't finished it, but the 2 episodes that we watched together were good.
Well, the creators haven't finished it either, so whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, because I don't think Jet is supposed to be sympathetic. He's supposed to be like sympathetic at first, but then you're like, whoa, what the hell are you doing? You just tried to kill an entire town of people just to get the Fire Nation soldiers in it. Did his character improve? Kind of.
Yeah. Did Jet die?
It's really not clear.
And I don't really care.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see. I don't disagree with anything you're saying. By the way, Man in Form, I actually do think you should watch Korra because as far as animated shows go, it's probably above average. It's just offensive to us because it uses the Avatar: The Last Airbender story in
Peas on it.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
It
uh, if it was if just the Legend of Korra existed and the Avatar: The Last Airbender never existed, I would actually think the Legend of Korra is pretty good. But yeah, I do.
I
I hate how they ruin so much from Avatar: The Last Airbender that is great.
I cannot agree with you here. There are parts that are core that are good, but there is a lot of writing that is just not great.
It's definitely not as good as Avatar: The Last Airbender, but I
Yeah.
will still say that it's probably better than average for an animated show.
You know what? Once we're done with this, we should make another stream where we rank and talk about the core episodes.
Okay.
I will prove to you that you know what? Let's just stick with this. Let's go with the Great Divide or the Rift. Which one is it?
The
The
Great
Great
Divide.
Divide. Yeah.
Okay. Um, Aang and friends come to the rim of a giant canyon and must guide two rival groups of refugees across. It seems that this will be no easy task. So I'll say at the outset, uh, most people hate this episode, and I love it.
Yeah, I don't understand the hate that the episode gets. If I the only thing I really hate is both Sokka and Katara have zero critical thinking in this episode. And this is where you get to start to see the trend of Katara being a bit of a joiner, where she hears a story, believes it instantly, and just goes with it. And this is a reoccurring theme. Yes, man, informed. People hate the episode.
People hate. There are many people who say that this is the worst episode of Avatar.
I don't get that.
I don't get it
Basically,
either.
this during this episode, they're told not to bring food because there are these creatures. I don't remember what they're called, but they look freaky. They're like these bug, like crocodile things. And they're told don't bring food because it's going to attract these things. And there's these two separate tribes. There's the very rough looking tribe and a very clean cut tribe. And they were descendants from these two guys that either the rough looking tribe guy stole the orb that the dude was delivering, or he tried to return it to him, but it was misconstrued and was arrested unfairly. So the two tribes have been hating each other ever since. And it happened 100 years ago, which will play uh, um, play no role in how the issue is resolved. Eventually, people they get across. Sokka believes the ugly, trashy barbarian people and their side of the story. Katara believes the clean cut people. They both have their own sides, different philosophies you kind of see, which is kind of cool, seeing how they do things differently, but very for their own reasons. Like the barbarian tribe uses the rain cover things for blankets because it's not likely to rain here, whereas the prim and proper tribe still uses them in case it rains, and that kind of gets Sokka and Katara on each of their respective teams. During the end, when they get across, Aang lies, says, "Oh no, you guys don't remember it right. I was there 100 years ago, and it was actually just a game between two brothers." And after they believe that and decide to reconcile and stop fighting with each other, he reveals to Katara that, yeah, I lied. And people hate that for some reason. People hate that he lied to get them to stop fighting. It's he has already been described by the creators as a trickster hero. What do trickster heroes do? Trick people. This show is another moral ambiguity. Should he tell them the truth? Should he let them keep fighting, or tell them the teensy little white lie to get them to put aside their differences and work together?
Out of every episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender, I probably remember this one the most. The only thing I don't like about the episode is like what you said. Sokka and Katara kind of like show zero critical thinking, and that's a little bit outside. That's a little bit outside of Sokka's character to do that. And that's just a little annoying. But it's just a plot device. And I also will say that this episode in particular does not further the plot. It's just a character development episode. And I guess what
And
people, sorry?
that's fine. I love character development episodes.
Yeah, and I think they're necessary. And I would not call it filler. There are some things I would call filler in season 3, but until season 3, I don't think there's a single filler episode. I think every episode actually serves a very important purpose.
Yeah, it shows the kind of people that we're dealing with, that how Aang looks at things, how Katara looks at things. It brings out their personality, which you need to do, because to have stakes, you have to be invested, and you're not invested in tropes. You're invested in people, and you have to make them seem like people. And this is something that does that really well.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better.
Aang also takes charge. That's something I noticed too. That when the guide gets hurt, he's the one who decides to separate the groups and keep watch over them to make sure they get past the divide.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
this is awesome.
In this episode, it shows like Aang becoming more mature.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the episode where he takes it upon himself to be the peacekeeper.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next episode, The Storm.
Oh, hold on. We need to rank this one. Where are we going to put this?
ARS.
Yeah, I actually thought you didn't like this episode as much as you apparently do. So I figured like I was going to say S and you were going to say C, and then we just put it somewhere in the middle. But like, I'm comfortable putting an S because I love this episode. I hope I get a lot of shit for it. Oh my God. I didn't realize what was next.
Yep, the backstory time.
We can just skip it. We both know where this is going.
Yeah, we have to at least get a synopsis. We have to get a
okay. Yeah. A powerful storm brings up painful memories of the past and puts everyone in jeopardy in the present.
Yeah. This Sokka goes with a fisherman. The fisherman's wife tells him it's going to storm. Trust me. He's like, there's not a cloud in the sky. And of course, there's a storm when they're at sea. So Aang has to go save them. Same thing with Zuko and his ship, because he's so determined to get the Avatar that he tries to go through the storm.
Yeah. And Sokka. So I keep saying Sokka instead of Zuko. So Zuko, this is the episode where we get the backstory of like the Agni Kai between him and his father, right?
Mm-hmm. And we get Aang's backstory of how he ended up in the iceberg.
Right. Yeah, so this is great. I don't like the storm as a plot device.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like something that's kind of contrived. It just doesn't. To me, it doesn't feel particularly natural. But I like all of the character development, especially Zuko. Yeah, I love it.
The fisherman subplot is a bit mid. Yes, man, and form, but it is mid.
I agree with that.
I would go with sub mid.
It's worse than mid. Yeah, I hate the fisherman. I would be glad to never see his character ever again. And it was just a device. It was a device for character development. But the character development was so good.
Yeah, you get to see how alone Aang feels and why he would want to run away. When his only real friend by the end of it was Monk Yatsu, because none of the other kids want to play with him because, well, it's not fair. He's the Avatar. He's better than all of us. And so at 12 years old, he already just lost all of his friends except for one old guy who is his father figure. And then he's told that he's going to be pulled away from Gyatso because Gyatso is too soft on the boy. He was like the only person who did not approve of giving Aang the telling him he was the Avatar this early, because he learned it at like 11 or 12. And if you look at the later Avatars, when they tell their story in that episode, you see that they started when they were at least a teenager. So it's a really good way of showing how being a prodigy makes children very lonely. And Zuko shows that he made a small mistake and was heavily punished for it. And it's great to see why he's so tries so hard to catch the Avatar, even if it puts his men at risk. But even then, by the end of the episode, when he has a chance to chase the Avatar, he still prioritizes putting his men first. Because it was a real good humanizing moment. Because before this, Zuko is kind of the antagonist and nothing else. He's just he's just chasing the Avatar. He's just the force of nature. But this shows why he's doing it and shows that he is still a person. It shows something that he could be redeemed because he doesn't chase it to the point where he's gonna let his crew get killed.
Couldn't agree more. S tier it is. So the next one is the Blue Spirit.
Another great episode.
It is another great episode. So when Sokka and Katara get too sick to travel, Aang goes out on his own to find a cure for them. He is quickly captured by Zhao and held prisoner inside an impenetrable fortress.
Yeah, this also is a great episode for Zuko. It's also a great episode for Aang when he finds out that Zuko is the Blue Spirit. Aang also gets a little bit of a view of why Zuko's chasing him. The archers are cool.
Oh yeah, the archers are cool as fuck. I love the archers.
Yeah, I can't.
They can pin a fly to a wall from 100 yards or whatever.
Yeah, without
killing it. When I was a kid, I was like, "That's the most badass thing I've ever heard in my life."
And they are never seen again.
Never seen again.
It makes me wonder why they're stuck at this prison. Like, these are the Fire Nation could have won the war with these guys. These guys are like special forces of like bow and arrows. In a world where you can shoot fire, being able to shoot an arrow that accurately, like, you can shoot a lot farther than a firebender.
If they could shoot an arrow through the viewport of the tanks that the Fire Nation uses, like, why does the Earth Kingdom have archers like this?
Because the Fire Nation is objectively the most advanced nation in all regards.
Okay, so I really like towards the end of the episode when like Zuko this is the point at which Zuko starts to have second thoughts, I think, about chasing the Avatar. And like, go ahead.
I misremembered it. This is when Zuko gets to see more of the Aang, because Aang saves his life at the end, and he starts talking to Zuko as Zuko starts to wake up.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gets second thoughts.
And you can just see the internal angst on Zuko. Like Aang has this legitimate, like, vulnerable moment with Zuko where he's just like, we don't have to fight. Mm-hmm. And Zuko has this moment of hesitation where he doesn't go for Aang. He eventually does, which kind of mirrors what he does in season 2.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. But yeah, I hate the like, again, Sokka and Katara get sick and they suck on the frogs. Like, again, it's just like it's a device to move the plot and for character development. And I really feel like there's a lot of contrived stuff like that in Avatar: The Last Airbender. That
I'm kind of, yeah.
They could have done it in a more natural way.
I think getting sick is something normal, especially for people who haven't left the South Pole before. You're going through a new country and getting exposed to diseases that you would never normally get.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. It just feels contrived.
Yeah, fair enough. A or S?
I would put it in A if you don't have any qualms with that. I'm gonna
no problem.
Put an A tier. Man, there's just so many good episodes in a row. The next one is The Fortune Teller. Can your science explain why it rains?
I have mixed feelings on this episode.
I love it.
I have mixed feelings on this episode. I like how Sokka just hates the fortune teller and is completely in keeping with his character.
I love it.
I kind of love how Katara decides to use the fortune teller for absolutely everything, to the point that she just is.
And the fortune teller's just fed up with her.
Yeah. I
Oh,
also
and
like
then
that, of
she
course.
gives that fortune in passing. That's just like, you'll have your third grandchild, then you'll die peacefully in your sleep. That doesn't happen
Mhm.
canonically, which I hate. It should happen.
Well, she was wrong about the volcano.
Um,
That's a technically
okay,
right. Yeah.
fair. Yeah, she was technically right.
The town was not destroyed, but the volcano did go off.
This is probably, for me, this episode is up there with the Great Divide. I really like this episode. So, what do you not like about it?
I don't remember. I for some reason I had a strong negative emotional reaction, and now I can't
You're like,
explain it
oh
because it's like,
god, the fortune teller, garbage, F tier. I'm like,
and
what do
now
you
I'm
not like
like,
about
no,
it? You're
it
like,
was.
I don't know.
It's just like, no, I remember liking the episode, and I do like the episode. I don't know why I had that initial reaction. Honestly, it's a good
You've been
episode.
primed by the community, this toxic fan base. You've been primed to hate this episode.
Yeah, I like how the one girl likes Aang and he's oblivious because he's chasing Katara. And I like how Aang gets the fortune that you're destined to save the world and bring peace. And he's like, okay, but I already knew that.
So there's also a moment I really like in this episode where Katara is watching Aang do his crazy avatar shit.
Mhm.
And she's just like, wow, he's a really strong bender. I would put this episode in A tier.
Yeah. Okay, man, inform you disagree with us. Why do you not like this episode?
I'll get the next one queued up here. And also the meme. Like the memes of like, can your science explain why it rains? It's beautiful. It's my favorite meme of the entire show.
Yeah. Or and just how the villagers act really stupid. Like,
Yeah.
oh, she said I would meet the one I love if I was wearing these shoes. Well, how often do you wear them? All the time. And he's like, of course it's gonna happen then. You're always wearing the shoes. And nothing happened at all. It's also a character episode. It's
a character episode. Even if this episode was filler and there was no character development in it, I would still like it because it's just fun. I also like how they almost set up like the moral is going to be like, you shouldn't listen to fortune tellers, you should think critically and stuff like that. And then they just dunk on Sokka at the end. It's like, nope, she was right.
The town wasn't destroyed. It's like, I feel bad for Sokka.
Yeah, I really feel for Sokka. It's like, I would hate them if I were Sokka. But
Aang, let the village get destroyed. It's
okay, so the next one is Bato of the Water Tribe.
This one's going to be one that we're going to have interesting opinions on.
Sokka and Katara's discovery of an abandoned Water Tribe ship leads them to an old friend from their tribe who knows where to find their dad.
Yeah. I like that Sokka has to go through the water bending rite of passage to be a man, where he has to go through the rocks, and he does a very good job. He manages to do something that even the senior member said they shouldn't do, and he managed to get through like a very narrow pass, almost crashing the ship, but got through. I do not like how Aang deals with the letter.
I agree.
He gets a letter from the Earthbender runner telling about their dad, and he just seeing Sokka get very excited was cool. Yes, it was another Sokka W, and since this man gets dunked on so often, every Sokka W is something that we should all celebrate.
I agree. I love it for giving Sokka a win and in allowing Sokka to prove his competence again.
Mm-hmm.
I hate how they deal with the letter. Do you think it's out of character for Aang to hide the letter?
I get he'd be upset that just like, oh, my friends might leave me, but I don't think he would hide the letter. I think he would understand, especially after everything he's gone through, that I've lost my people, and this could be the last time Katara and Sokka could see their dad, who's fighting a war. I think he would have enough empathy to to say, I know it sucks that you're gonna probably leave me to go find your dad, but I understand.
And that is basically what he does, right? Like he ends up giving them a letter.
Yeah,
I
and
don't. Was there something that
understandably,
prompted him giving them the letter, or did he
I
just
don't.
like feel guilty about it and
I
give them the
think it was
letter?
either. I think it was either guilt or someone said something. I don't quite remember.
Yeah, because like my issue is more like I can understand why Aang would hide the letter. I think Aang is the type of character that might have the urge to do that, but then not do it, which is basically what we see. Um, but the way Katara and Sokka react when they get the letter is nuts.
I don't remember. It depends on if he was prompted by something else. Because if they found out and he kind of got caught red-handed and then gave over the letter, I don't know. I would still feel a little betrayed. Just like, you tried to hide this from us. We haven't seen our dad in like years. This is the first time we heard that he could still be alive.
Yeah, but it was like it was a full third act breakup of we're not gonna have anything to do with you now. Like we're just gonna leave and we're never gonna see you again.
Yeah, I do think it was a little bit extreme.
Like
That
to me, that's over the top to me. Like I can see them being hurt, but like especially particularly Katara, like I do not see her just being like, okay, well I'm gonna abandon you now. Like that just seems so out of character for Katara.
yeah. Yeah, he has lost friends, and he thought he was going to lose everyone again. But I think he would have the empathy to also relate to their situation. Yeah, he would probably be scared. He would obviously be scared to lose his friends. These are the first people he's talked to in 100 years, and after losing his friends, like being ostracized from the other Airbenders, he would want to be around people he trusted. But I think he's also has a big enough heart where he would not want his friends to not see their dad after losing his father figure and his people.
Is this also the episode that had the subplot of Iroh getting captured by the Earth Kingdom soldiers?
No, I think that's in season 2. This has the subplot with June um, and Uncle Iroh constantly flirting with her. Uncle, I didn't see you get hit by the tongue. Shh.
Yeah, because I remember the episode where Iroh gets captured by the Earth Kingdom soldiers that has June in it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I don't remember if that was when like Zuko comes back to June. I don't remember exactly when that was introduced. But if it doesn't have that subplot, then I don't really like this episode, and I would put it in C tier at best.
I like the Sokka scene. I'd go with C tier though because of that. I
All
agree.
right, see it. We've been ranking a lot of these episodes too high. I said I'd do it on a curve. Like,
Yeah,
are there going to be any D tier episode? There are. In season 3, I'm going to put something in D tier.
there are several episodes that are going to end up in D tier.
Okay.
If if we put too many things up in S and A tier, we're just going to drop the entire tier list down all one rank, and not because we hate the episodes, but because again, it's a curve. B is supposed to be average, or C should be average. D should be just bad.
Okay, so Northern Air Temple. After hearing a story about surviving airbenders, the group head to the Northern Air Temple in search of Aang's people. And I'm going to go to the bathroom, so you talk while I'm gone.
They meet the guy who the inventor, the wheelchair, the fly. They have gliders. One thing that's really cool about this episode, though, is you see again Sokka's competency. He's the one who comes up with the idea of the hot air balloon. Um, there's also the subplot about the gas that they found a gas leak, and that's when that's how they beat the Fire Nation soldiers. You find out that the soldiers were using the inventor's inventions. They were kind of holding them hostage. Um, I would still put this episode as a C tier. There's not a lot of the episode I like, besides there being another Sokka win, which is great. I just don't really care for the episode. It's pretty much meh.
And I'm back. Did I hear you say this is a C tier?
C tier.
Um,
Not only that, I think we skipped an episode.
did we?
The Deserter.
Oh, we did skip an episode. So I would probably agree with C tier. I'm not a huge fan of this episode, although it is memorable.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that I remember it makes me want to put it up more, but I don't. Yeah, I don't really care for it.
Next episode, or the one we skipped, the Deserter. This is when he meets the Firebender Deserter and learns firebending.
Oh yeah, like Jin Jong or whatever the fuck his name is. Right?
And this, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Aang convinces Katara and Sokka to attend a Fire Nation cultural festival in disguise. Along the way, they meet a former Fire Nation soldier, and this is where Aang starts to learn firebending, and then he burns Katara, and then he says, "I'll never firebend again."
Yes. I would put this in C tier. I like the festival. I like how Aang freaks out when he thinks. Actually, I kind of don't like that because he's an idiot. He thinks like the magician guy or the performer's gonna like just straight up snuff film Katara on stage in a town, and he overreacts. I mean, I kind of understand it, but it's like you think he's just gonna kill her.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, I think the writers wanted to show like he's naive, which he is, but like, come on, or Aang's not. Well, I was going to say a word that I'm not going to say. Okay. I agree. This is a C tier at best. It's not my favorite at all. I don't hate it, but like, it's just kind of a meh episode. I guess like, it almost provides the writers a reason for Aang to not learn firebending concurrently with waterbending, so that they can have a season 3.
It kind of feels that way, and it's also, I get he would be excited to learn firebending, but how he just plays around with fire literally is kind of silly. Not only that, I think Jin, whatever, is not a very good teacher because he doesn't explain any of it. He just says, have this leaf, it's burning in the middle. Try and keep it from the edge as long as possible without explaining why. It's
wax on, wax off.
Yeah, he could have very easily just said, listen, fire is really dangerous. You could kill a lot of people, cause a lot of damage. So I need to teach you a lot of control. I know it's going to be boring, but you're going to need to know this.
Yeah,
otherwise
I agree.
You could end up hurting people.
I agree with Aang more than I agreed with Zhang or whatever in this episode. Like, you need to have a sense of urgency because, like, the Fire Nation's gonna. I mean, I guess we don't find this out till later, but they're gonna commit genocide.
Yeah.
And it just seems like he doesn't have this sense of urgency. He doesn't want to do it. So yeah, C tier. Next episode. Season 1, episode 18, the Waterbending Master. The group final. The group. Let me finish reading it, then I'll put it in D for you. The group finally arrive at the Northern Water Tribe, a spectacular ice city full of majestic temples and canals. Eager to begin training, Aang and Katara meet Master Pakku. Okay. Just because the Northern Water Tribe is so cool and so inventive, I cannot put this in D. This is the episode where they introduce the Northern Water Tribe.
I feel for you, and I understand because it is a very beautiful city, and it does do a lot of world building. It's basically Omashu for the Water Tribe and showing how they would make a city. However, it's the dumbest plot ever. And Katara does not help the situation. When she finds out that she can't waterbend because, waterbending, we only teach the guys, instead of trying to, like, calmly convince them, just like, please.
She just immediately is like, I'm gonna challenge you to a duel.
No, she doesn't even do that. She says, he says it's our tradition, and she says, well, your tradition is stupid. It's like, okay, that's a great way to
calm down, Toots. You're hysterical.
it felt like it wanted to do another episode of like girl power and fighting against sexism when it was. I agree with the nostalgia critic, and that's not something I would say very often because I don't want to, because the nostalgia critic is kind of cringe. But even he pointed out, yeah, it felt like it was dealing with an issue that we don't see in this world very often, that we didn't see up to this point. The only person we saw being sexist was Sokka in one episode, and it was dropped immediately in the
The whole
Kyoshi Warriors.
the whole feminism angle, especially upon rewatch, feels very inserted and not natural at all.
Yeah. It
It's like
also,
we need it's like a committee somewhere said we need to have an episode about feminism. And so they made this episode.
pretty much. And the ironic thing is, she learning about healing is a super useful skill. She's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to learn about healing.
She literally saves Aang's life later in the series with the healing that she learns here.
I would feel more sympathetic to this episode if Katara's reaction wasn't so over the top. If she tried the nice approach first instead of immediately just yelling at people and insulting them to try and get her way. Which is why I think this is detailed. It's just a bad episode for Katara. And I understand being upset, but it's just immediately shitting on these people's culture and insulting them that I don't like. It's kind of out of character for her. I think if this wasn't supposed to be the feminism episode, Katara would have acted far more believably how she normally does, because I think she would take the soft approach, but eventually snap, like she would later do with Toph in that episode.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
There is some out of character for her to react the way she did. However, I'm not going to put it in D tier because the Underwater Tribe is super cool.
We also see Sokka bond with the princess, on to be told that she's betrothed.
Yeah, the princess. How do you feel about the princess?
I feel nothing towards the princess.
I feel nothing.
It's a trope. We all knew that. We all knew that Sokka was going to fall for it, but there was going to be some drama. And I think we, even as kids, we probably saw her death from a mile away.
Yeah, I think
even spoiler, she fucking dies, guys.
even as kids, I agree. It felt very tropey. It's like, this is a Disney movie. Like, she's clearly going to die. Though they can't be together. Romeo and Juliet. There's that trope.
Yeah.
So like, I don't hate it. Like, I don't hate her as a character, but yeah, you're right. She's just nothing. She doesn't really matter. She at best she's just a plot device.
Yeah. Next episode, Siege of the North, Part 1.
So this episode is really cool. When Zhao's fleet begins its relentless assault on the city walls, everyone must band together to face this terrible threat.
Yeah. This is a great episode. It does a number of things. Sokka is the one who discovers that the Fire Nation is coming because he sees the soot in the snow. I think this is also the episode where Zuko sneaks into the Northern Water Temple.
I think that I agree with you, but I think that's a little dumb that like the Northern Water Tribe doesn't have scouts or any method of communicating that like they're about to be attacked.
Yeah. Actually, no. I think this is the episode when Zuko nearly gets killed by Zhao. Zhao sabotages the ship to explode when it's in port, and it's revealed towards the end that Zuko is basically going undercover on Zhao's ship. Oh
yeah,
which is cool. He has to solid snake his way, like, out of the situation. It's also cool seeing Aang fight the ships, and he destroys a couple of them, or at least their catapults. And then when he flies back up, he just sees that there are dozens of more ships, and he just keeps going out. And eventually, he just gets tired. Just like there's just so many of them.
I did really feel, even upon rewatch, even as an adult, you really feel like the gravity of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like it feels like they're in peril, which I like a lot.
The only downside to this episode is that the assassination on Zhao was silly. It's ended almost immediately with him just tripping the guy over and he falls off.
It was really funny.
It was funny. I also like how the armor is so antiquated. It shows how the Northern Water Tribe has been so isolated that it's like, oh, here's the uniforms we're going to be using. And Sokka just immediately breaks out laughing. It's just like, did you guys get that 100 years ago? And it's like 80 years old. It's like, yeah, you're going to get caught almost immediately.
So I'd be pretty comfortable putting this in A.
Yeah.
So the next episode is just part 2 of the Siege of the North.
Yeah. This one's also pretty cool. After
this is the one where Iroh does the Dragon of the West thing, right? Because if it's the first episode, no, it's got to be this one.
Yeah, this is when he fights Zhao and tries to convince him, no, we need the moon too. Zhao kills it, not thinking ahead, and the waterbenders all lose their ability to bend. And this is when the princess gives up her life to save the moon spirit. And Aang gets captured while in the Avatar state, if I remember correctly. And that also has the scene when Zuko challenges Katara in the snow. Like,
oh yeah,
and she just immediately beats him because obviously, I don't have any. Like, it is kind of underwhelming, but considering how beat up he was and the fact that Katara is literally in her element in a giant iceberg snowstorm, it's pretty obvious that Zuko was going to lose.
Yeah, so I guess the only thing that I don't like about this episode is like the tropiness of the moon spirit and whatever. Mm-hmm. The princess gives up her life to become the moon. That's kind of dumb.
It was cool as shit though, seeing like the sky go black and the fight in the streets.
Oh yeah, that was so fucking. I loved the Dragon of the West bit when Iroh just goes ham on the Fire Nation guys.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, to me, that's like one of the most iconic scenes in the entire series.
It's a great scene. Just Iroh in general is nothing but W's. This man can't stop winning.
Yeah, and it also really shows like, again, like the complexity of what the Fire Nation is.
Yeah, Zuko even tries to save Zhao, but Zhao's just so stubborn. He's so prideful. He refuses to be saved and lets himself get killed.
Yeah, it's great character. And Zuko ends up giving Aang back, right?
I no. He gets Aang gets saved by Katara, and Aang is the one who decides to save Zuko's life because he realizes he's not a bad guy.
Oh yeah. Aang is saved by Katara, and then Zuko's going to freeze to death. So they save Zuko.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think this episode is better than part 1. Is it S tier though?
I'd put in between.
Okay. Oh, I lost it. All right, I'm going to put it right there. So that's it for season 1.
Yep.
We're a third of the way through this. Almost on schedule.
Yep. Eventually, I might have to leave for dinner because I'm getting hungry, but I'm still with you for now.
Okay. Okay, here we go. Here's the evil Earth General. Season 2, episode 1, the Avatar State. What do we think?
I'd put it in C or D tier. I don't remember much of this episode other than the general eventually threatening to kill Katara to get him to use the Avatar state. It's I guess it's another episode that shows the good guys aren't always good, but it's also poorly planned on his part because he's using the Avatar state against the Earth Kingdom.
Yeah.
Because of course he would. You just threatened my friends. And yet, how do you think this is going to end? Katara's the only one who can calm him down. But it's kind of it's kind of just not a very good episode. Wait, there's something else that happens. Oh, okay. If it was just about Aang and stuff, I would just throw this in D tier. But can you read the synopsis real quick? If it's the episode I think it is.
They don't tell if there's a subplot. They don't. It just says Aang and group meet Earth Kingdom General who wants to use Aang's powerful Avatar state as a weapon to defeat the Fire Nation.
If I remember correctly, this is the episode that we get introduced to the best character in the show, my personal favorite, Azula.
Oh yes.
Zuko and Iroh are just chilling on a island trying to recover after, almost dying. And Azula shows up. It's all like, oh, father wants you to return. You have your honor back. And it
And Zuko goes, honor? Honor?
yes. And that's when the only reason they get caught is because one of the guards says, take the prisoners aboard. And Azula immediately shoots him the dirtiest look I can ever see.
And he's like, I'm sorry, Azula. Please don't torture me and kill all of my family. And she's like, I already have.
It's also a great way to introduce her because we introduced to her practicing her firebending, and she gets a hair out of place, and she
freaks the fuck out. A hair out of place is unacceptable.
Yeah, she's a perfectionist, and also when she threatens the captain, when it's like, we can't go to shore now, the coast is too low, or something like that, and she's just like, well, maybe you should do it anyway, because if we hit the rocks, we might die. But I'm still mulling it over whether or not I should throw you into the ocean, essentially. Yeah. I am of two minds. I'd put in C tier because Azula saves the episode.
Yeah,
and
it's like
I love that
if Azula
batshit
wasn't
crazy
in
woman.
it, if Azula wasn't in it, I'd put it here.
Yeah.
If only Azula was in it, I'd put it here. Like, Azula is so good that I'm tempted to put it in B. Mm-hmm. And I don't hate the Earth Kingdom General. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
So like maybe I'll just put it in between B and C. Like we'll just put it right here.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, this might be an interesting one. The Cave of Two Lovers.
This is also not a very good episode. This obviously is building up the whole Aang and Katara like each other, but a lot of the conflict between them is so forced.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that, but you're not taking into consideration.
What?
The secret tunnel.
D tier. If we had an F tier, I'd put there.
Out of every episode in the series, I hate this one probably the second most.
Yeah.
So
it's just I don't get why people like it.
I don't get why people like it.
It's such a good episode. No, it's not. It's not a good episode.
I do really like. I mean, I love the meme, the secret tunnel meme, but yeah, I hate the characters they introduced. I do like how they annoy Sokka.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see the purpose of this episode. I guess it's to set up the relationship between Aang and Katara, but that's all that it is.
And it doesn't.
And I don't like the relationship between Aang and Katara. I don't think they should have gotten together at the end.
All romance in Avatar is not very good. I'm just going to say that now. Is that Mike and Brian do not deal with romance well.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess we have our first D tier. Return to Omashu. The kids return to Omashu. Oh, you know what? At the end of the Secret Tunnel episode, when they revealed the Fire Nation flag over Omashu, like that was pretty badass. That was like a legitimate oh shit moment.
Yeah. It's still not moving. We're not moving.
No, it's in D tier. I'm not moving it.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm going to move it down a little bit just for making me think about it again. Yeah, so return to Omashu. The kids return to Omashu so that Aang can learn earthbending from King Bumi. However, when they get there, they're shocked to find the city is now in Fire Nation hands. Can I just make one comment here? It's kind of weird how long it takes in season 2 for Aang to actually find an earthbending teacher.
Yeah.
And I kind of don't. There's part of me that doesn't like that because we see Aang doing so little actual practicing earthbending that it feels kind of not earned when he becomes really good at it.
Kind of. We'll get to it when we get to it. I would also put this in D tier. We forgot in the last episode that that's when Azula also gets her old teammates. That happens.
Oh, so the Cave of Two Lover. I was thinking that Return to Omashu is where they introduced Ty Lee and May, right?
I think that's when they introduced May. I think in the Cave of Two Lovers is when they introduced Ty Lee, because May is the daughter of the governor.
Right. Okay. I like Ty Lee enough that I'm just gonna move this back up to the middle of D tier.
Yeah. I also like how Azula convinces Ty Lee to leave the circus in the most sociopathic way humanly possible.
Yeah.
Set the net on fire. Release all of the animals. You can tell the voice actress had fun with that.
And then Ty Lee is just like, I had an epiphany last night. The universe is telling me that I should choose a different path. I really like Ty Lee. Ty Lee's a good character. May is not a good character.
May is boring.
She's very boring. And also, like, her thing is she throws knives at people. But because this is a Y7 show, she can never actually land a hit with the knives.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, why do you even exist? Like, you never actually accomplish anything.
I think she pins people occasionally.
Sure. But, okay. Ugh.
But
boring.
Yeah, the chi blocking is obviously the much better technique.
Yeah.
Which I think that's also why she's Azula's go-to person as like her second hand. Her right hand man.
Return to Omashu. What does nothing really happens in Return to Omashu? It's just like the gang. Well, the gang gets to meet Azula, right? That's the first time they actually come to face with Azula.
Yeah, they evacuate the town by faking Pentapox. They accidentally take the Fire Nation governor's kid, and then they try to use it as a bargaining chip to get Boomy released, only to find out in the end Boomy doesn't want to leave because there's neutral gen, which is never brought up again. And
there's what?
Just leave neutral gen. There's I think if I remember correctly, there's positive gen and negative gen, and it has something to do with actions, and then there's neutral gen.
Yeah.
And that's where the meme comes from about like actually there's like 27 or something. But we'll just start with the 3.
Yeah, I kind of hated that.
It's
like, come on, Boomy.
Boomy, you couldn't let me know this before earlier. We could have just returned the kid. But no, we had to have a fight with this crazy lady and her crazy friends.
I do remember the fight being really badass, though. Like, I specifically remember, like, Azula sliding down the slide, like, just on her heels.
Mm-hmm. Azula is basically the Terminator. And that you're definitely going to get that in a later episode where it's much more obviously Terminator. But I would put this in C or D. Like, I put it in half because the episode's not really remarkable besides the fight scene.
Okay, but I like the fight scene. And also, it's the first time the gang is to meet Azula. And it's the first time you get to see Ty Lee in action. And I think all of that is good. And that would tell me to put it in B. So if we're just going to split the difference, I'll put it in C.
Okay, here's an episode that has to be D. The next one.
The Swamp.
No.
The Swamp.
No, we're at Avatar Day. Oh, no. I'm the one who skipped it. Yeah, you're right. The Swamp. I saw Avatar. Okay.
All right. Well, we're going to put it in D anyway.
Okay. I'm fine with that.
What do you think about the Swamp?
There's only the epiphany of they see things in the swamp and you get a lot of the nature BS about like being well of nature and how everything's connected. And and they're basically in Louisiana and everyone's dumb and they try to kidnap Appa to eat them. And and there's the monster that sucks him in. The only thing I've really noted this episode is that Aang sees
Aang sees Toph.
Yeah. So other than that,
so they foreshadowed Toph, which they needed to do at some point, but it didn't have to be in a shitty episode like this.
yeah, it's just not a memorable episode. There is character development for Katara and stuff, but I remember so little of it. I think she gets her necklace back, if I remember correctly. No, no, she doesn't. She sees something of her mom, and I don't even remember what Sokka sees.
Yeah, so I'm actually kind of surprised that the only episodes we put in D tier thus far are season 2 episodes. Season 2 is my favorite season.
The highs are high and the lows are low. What can I say?
Yeah, I guess I think of season 2 as the best season, which is objectively correct. But like there's a lot of shit in season 2.
I think it's because it doesn't start out great. I noticed that the episodes we're all going to remember are in the second half.
Yeah, the second half of season 2 is great.
Yeah.
So I guess that you just that you leave with a good feeling, but it didn't start out good at all actually. Avatar Day. What do we think about Avatar Day?
I put in D tier again. There's not much to be said here. He gets put on trial for something that Kyoshi did, and I guess I understand it, but at the same time, I do like how Aang pulls against the town when the Rough Riders come and start blowing everything up. They're just like, Avatar, save us. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm supposed to be burned in oil today. And then they change it to community service. That's not something you see usually, kids. Usually the main character would jump into action immediately. But just the snarkiness of like, I would save you guys, but you're just going to burn me alive. So,
Yeah, I like it. I don't have anything against that. And also, like, I wouldn't have minded. Like, they were such dicks that I wouldn't have minded if Aang had just left. So, yeah, no argument for me. D tier. The Blind Bandit. In search for an earthbending teacher for Aang, the kids go to an underground earthbending tournament where they encounter Toph, a blind but powerful earthbender.
A tier.
Why A tier?
I love Toph. I think how she sees is cool, and how they introduce it, how they show it, is cool with the vibrations, how it goes black and white and stuff like that. It's how I would imagine someone using sonar, and how she learns it too. Toph's just a great character. The boulder and his reaction to Toph is great too. But you also see why she's in an underground fighting tournament, that her parents are overly protective, and that leads her to the point where she wants to rebel, and so you can kind of see why she would want to leave. And when they find out that she is a earthbender and a very powerful one, instead of being like, maybe you're right, maybe we were overprotective, they're like, no, we haven't been overprotective enough, and that's what gets her to leave.
Yeah, so I'm kind of two minds of this episode. I agree. I love Toph. I love how they did the sonar thing. I don't really like the device that they introduced her with, like the underground bending tournament thing. Mm-hmm. It just feels like maybe Korra ruined it for me because I hated pro bending. But it just feels like the laziest writing decision. Just bring her in this way.
I can kind of see that there's an underground tournament. Like, why would there be an underground? But I guess we don't know if this town's controlled by the Fire Nation or not. I guess not, because they have an earthbending school.
Yeah.
And I guess it makes sense, like, having taken karate as a little kid. I like the analogy, how they set it up as like one of those schools for kids, and that's why Aang doesn't like it, because it's not nearly advanced enough, and it's pretty much a pay to win thing. Where it's like, so I don't know. There could have been better ways to introduce the earthbending aspect of it.
I'd still put an A tier.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. What do we have? Zuko alone.
Oh, that's what we missed from the Blind Bandit or Avatar Day. Because this is what leads up to Zuko alone. Oh, isn't the Blind Bandit or Avatar Day when Zuko is learning how to redirect lightning from Iroh.
I
And that
guess so.
because Iroh won't
Yeah.
shoot lightning at him, that's why Zuko leaves.
Yeah, if I knew which episode that was, I would move that episode up a tier.
Up to the,
Which episode is it where Zuko is yelling at God for not striking him with lightning?
it would have to be one of these episodes. It's either After Her Day or The Blind Bandit, and I don't remember which one it is.
Man, I wish. Yeah. If I just type in Zuko yelling at God, am I gonna find it? Book 2, episode 9.
Are you on the wiki? I want to find if we can get more detailed synopsis, because we're missing a lot of stuff.
Avatar: The Last Airbender episode guide. Yeah, I just did the first thing that was in Google, but yeah, I would like to have more detailed synopses. If you can find more detailed synopses, send me the link.
Here's the Avatar wiki, and it looks like you can click on each individual episode. So that's going to be a lot more useful.
Okay.
So I'll send it to you on Facebook.
I got it. Yeah, so Avatar Day, Zuko decides that it's best if he and Iroh split up.
Okay, yeah, that's when Iroh refuses to shoot Zuko with lightning. Just like
no, that's later. That's later.
Oh.
That's in Bitter Work, which is episode 9.
Oh, okay. I don't remember why they decided to split up. Do you remember why?
I think this is when Zuko was feeling angsty about because he lost he used to have like a crew of firebenders that were taken from him, and like now he has no funding, he has no people with him other than Iroh, and he's like I should go my own way to find myself or whatever.
Yeah. Anyway,
but it didn't last very long.
Yeah.
So after leaving his uncle, Zuko continues his solo journey. He meets a boy in an Earth Kingdom town who brings him home to dinner. While this happens, Zuko has flashbacks about his life before banishment, involving his loving mother and his cruel sister Azula.
This is a great episode for Zuko and his character development, and also find out why he is what he is. You also find out how much of a sociopath that Azula is, even as a child. When she's the first one, she's just, wow, if Uncle dies, doesn't that mean Dad gets to become the Fire Lord? And his mom is like, why? Why did you bring that up? That's weird.
So is it? I mean, I know it's implied, but is it canon that Ozai killed his brother?
You mean his father?
His father, yeah.
I believe so. In the comic, I think that's what that's how that's why he lets his wife leave. Like, I found out that you in the comics it's revealed that she's messaging an old friend of hers that she had a thing for, and he finds out about it. Just like, if you want to leave, that's fine, but you're gonna have to kill Azulon first.
Oh, so
I can become.
She kills him under duress, presumably.
Yep. And then the only stable figure in Zuko's life leaves. Because
so why did she do that?
I think it's because she was probably implicated. He didn't want her around. I think it's also implied that he didn't want her around because she's such a comforting figure to Zuko. And he's
no, but
like,
why did she kill him? Like, what was the alternative to killing him?
I don't remember. I know there's some kind of thing that she's doing it under duress.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly either. Was it like he was going to kill Zuko or something?
It wouldn't surprise me. Because Zuko fails in front of Azulon when he's asking him to do like the moves, and he messes up, and he embarrasses his father in front of his grandfather, and it's like I don't remember.
So I remember in this episode that we're talking about here, the boy finds out he's the prince of the Fire Nation, and the boy
Oh
just
yeah,
immediately flips and is like, "No, I hate you."
yeah.
Um,
Which is
yeah, I don't like it.
it's understandable if I mean you invite this guy in, yeah, he seems kind of cool, but and he does save your village, but at the same time, he is basically the son of the guy who has
He's the
destroyed
son of Hitler.
Yeah, he's the son of Hitler.
Literally Hitler in this show.
Yeah, it's understandable that you would not like to be around this guy, and as a
Yeah,
kid, especially, I don't think his dad's around either. So,
and I guess I like it from a character development perspective of like Zuko has his moment of pride where he's like, I am the Fire Lord's son. I'm Prince Zuko. And then everybody's like, well, we hate you. Get out.
mhm.
It's just the episode is does a lot of tearing down Zuko.
Oh, okay. Now I see. I'm reading the wiki, uh, because because Ozai wanted to take the become the heir. That offends Azulon, and he says that your brother just lost his firstborn son. How'd you feel if you lose your firstborn son? And then he
Oh,
does
Azulon
order,
was going to kill Zuko.
yeah, or
Okay.
he orders Ozai to sacrifice Zuko. So that's why Zuko's mom kills Azulon.
What a shitty situation.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do we feel about Zuko alone?
B tier. It's a good episode, but it's with good character building and stuff. But it's not obviously since we couldn't remember a whole lot about it. It's not like grand episode. It does its job, and for an episode, it's good. But we also have to remember it's supposed to be on a curve, so B.
I'm gonna put it right here. It's a B plus at least.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
Okay. So now I've lost my my thumbnails. So let me get back my thumbnails. We don't have any live viewers right now, but if you want to just entertain whoever is watching this in post.
You were talking to the wrong person if you want entertainment.
I don't even remember what happens in most of these episodes. You have to tell me.
The next episode is the chase, and that's the one where we're both going to have things to say that people will probably disagree with us.
Okay. The kids are pursued relentlessly. Let's see. Aang, Katara, Sokka, and Toph are chased by an unknown machine, which results in a lack of sleep. After Toph and Katara argue, Toph leaves and runs into Iroh, who's tracking down Zuko. After cleaning Appa so his fur does not leave a trail for the tank to follow, Aang goes on one way as a decoy, and Sokka and Katara fly in another direction on Appa, the former of which results in a three-way fight. I love the Avatar three-way fights, by the way.
Yes, I also love this episode. This is where Azula really comes off as the Terminator, just unstoppable with the race car tank and just always pursuing them. There are downsides to this episode, though, and one of them is sadly Katara. Katara goes about the worst possible way trying to convince Toph to help out. She's like, as a kid, you agree with Katara. As an adult, you're like, okay, yeah, Toph's just going to do her own thing. If she's going to carry her own weight, that's fine. That as long as she's not detracting from the group, I'm okay with that. But Katara insists that Toph help out with everyone else. It's like you didn't have to. Stop letting it bother you. And she just acts so catty. to Toph for not, how are you not helping out? It's like, okay, but she's at least not using up all of our stuff. She's
this is another
carrying her own
case
weight.
where I feel like they almost made Katara act a little bit out of character
Mhm.
to forward the plot. I think Katara would be a little bit more empathetic than she actually is in this episode. So I dislike that. I think it's a plot device to get Toph to leave and to run into Iroh because they want to
Yeah.
have the tea time with Iroh, which is great. I love
Mhm.
Iroh. Every single there's not a single Iroh scene that I don't like.
Iroh is the goat. Yes. This is also when they kind of team up with Zuko during the fight. When they try to throw Azula off the trail, she notices that the branches are broken on the other direction and immediately knows they're trying to trick us. Go this way. And that's when you have the cool like Western like fight scene in the town where
Yeah.
they're having the three-way fight. And Azula just shows how much of a powerhouse she is. I mean, there's the part where she almost when she goes through the door on the second story and almost falls down. So she's not completely perfect, but she's really, really skilled.
I do like how they established that also that Azula is fucking amazing and she's very difficult to beat, but she's not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is a defeatable foe. It's just very very difficult. So yeah, I would put. I mean, we're grading on an Avatar curve. It's not an S tier episode. Is it an A tier episode?
I would say so if it was just a fight, but there's so much leading up to it that I would actually put it in A minus. Just because if you watch the second half of the episode, that's all you really need to watch.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't like the cattiness aspect of it. B tier it is. Okay. I lost my thumbnails again. Entertain the audience.
How about you open it up in the second tab?
I did do that, and then I clicked the wrong button.
No.
You should know what that's like, you boomer. Bitter work. When Aang, let me read it off the wiki. The wiki. Aang tries to learn earthbending from Toph, despite interference from his previous airbending training. Sokka becomes stuck in a hole after trying to hunt an animal. I remember that being kind of funny. Elsewhere, Iroh teaches Zuko how to redirect lightning. Yes, the redirect lightning episode. Yeah, this is the one where Zuko is yelling at God. So, but that scene I think is so powerful. It's one of the scenes that really stuck in my head over the course of many, many, many years. That I think that one scene could carry the whole episode. I don't even care what else happens in the episode. Like I would watch the whole thing again just to watch that scene again.
Mm-hmm. But there are downsides. I don't like how Toph. I mean, it makes sense in her character that she would just kind of throw him in the deep end, but to be like, yeah, you're gonna have to stop a boulder. It's like, is that what you did when you were a kid? When you first learned, did the Badger Wolves throw a boulder at you and you just did it?
Yeah,
but I do like how he grows a spine towards the end, where it's just like he kind of just takes it because he's a pacifist and an air nomad. It's like just let things happen, and eventually he's like, no, this is bullshit. Why am I just accepting this?
It's another example of like I agree with where the writers took it, but I think they dialed it up to 11 when 10 would have been fine.
Yeah,
like it lacks subtlety. I think that's like my main issue with a lot of these like character development episodes is that there's just not it lacks subtlety. Like you could have done this in a more subtle way and we still would have gotten the message and it wouldn't have been so cartoonish. Mm-hmm. But the way that Toph acts and the way that Aang acts, it's cartoonish. And I get it, it's a cartoon, but like it would have been better if they had just dialed it back just a hair.
Yeah. I also like how it also shows that Iroh is very knowledgeable about other bending, which is
Yeah.
a good foreshadowing that there's a little bit more to this old man than just he's just a wise firebender. There's something else about him.
Yeah, I wonder how much we can read into Iroh's actions around this time, because I always kind of felt like what are you doing teaching Zuko this right now? Like, I don't think Zuko is in a place to learn this without having the reaction he had.
Um, I think he was just trying to get him prepared because he does realize that eventually we're gonna have to face Azula. This is kind of inevitable. So I at least
Yeah,
want to get you as best prepared as possible for when that moment comes.
yeah, but it
Um,
just seemed like Iroh wasn't prepared for Zuko's reaction when he,
yeah.
yeah. So
Well, I think it's the opposite of like what Toph is doing, where Toph throws someone in the deep end, whereas Iroh is like, "Yeah, I'm not shooting lightning at you. Are you insane? If you mess this up once, you're dead."
yeah.
Whereas Toph is like, "Stop the bouldering, let it hit you."
Okay, so a, you think?
Uh, I'm okay with A.
We're in the latter half of season 2 now, and we're putting a lot of stuff up much higher.
Yeah. Speaking of things much higher, we have the library.
I
Uh,
feel like this might be the an episode where you have a different opinion than most.
I like it enough. This is when they find out about the solar eclipse, and you learn about the White Lotus. The spirit is kind of cool. I like how Sokka's the one who takes him out with a book, just dropping down and hitting him in the back of the head. Um, but I would probably put this as an average episode, honestly. Overall, it is kind of cool how they have to. Um, the spirit doesn't want the information to be used for war because that's you find out that Zhao was down here, and that's how I found out about the moon spirit. And I don't know.
Yeah, I
I think,
remember when I was a kid thinking like that seems to like that lacks context. Like, aren't you even interested in what the context of what they want to use this information for is?
yeah, it's like you just want to destroy things. There's a global war going on. Literally, Hitler is trying to conquer the world.
But on
You
the
can't
other
just
hand, they do want to use this information aggressively. Like, this isn't a missile defense system. This is like a nuke.
yeah, but I don't know. I would put it honestly probably in C tier. There's cool things about it. The fight scenes are cool and stuff, but honestly, there's not much to this episode. If I remember correctly, other than the find out about the eclipse.
Yeah, I agree. Um, okay, maybe we disagree. I don't think we actually. We might disagree with normal people, but the desert.
Um, Aang is a little bit overreacting. I get that he misses Appa, because this is right after Appa was stolen. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure if I was in this situation, I would, especially if he blew up at me, I would slap him across the face and be like, "You need to get your shit in order. I get you're upset, but if you start blowing up at me, I'm leaving, and I'm gonna let you die of dehydration in the desert." Oh, that's when he sucks up the cloud, and Katara just says, "That's not a lot of water," and he's like, he just blows up at her, just like, "Well, what did you want me to do?" I'd be like, "Okay, the water's mine. You can dehydrate to death."
The thing that I hated about this episode was they gave Sokka the magic mushrooms.
Yeah, that's pretty. I guess
I,
it was.
I I always hate in movies and TV shows when like they make a character high for comedy.
Yeah,
Like, it feels very cheap. I just don't like it.
yeah. I guess what they want to do is show how guitar is important to the group by showing her being the one to hold everyone together. Because Aang's emotionally compromised. I don't hate everything about Aang being emotionally compromised. It's just how he takes it out on everybody else.
Yeah, I
Toph can't
hated it.
see.
I think I hated it more as a kid than I do now, because now like I read into it more. I'm like, okay, he did just lose like the only connection he had to his past, like his only friend for a very long time. Like what Appa means to him is a lot more than just Appa.
Yeah. I guess I can see that, but I just taking it out on everybody else. That's something I would have immediately shut down on because I've had people do that to me. So I would not have taken it from the 12-year-old.
Yeah, and it feels like it's such a shift in Aang's character that it almost feels like we should have had, like if Aang was going to react this way, we should have had some kind of indication or foreshadowing that like maybe he would react this way. It seemed very like out of the blue.
Yeah.
So
if anything, instead of being mad, I would see him as trying to rush the group. Just being like, we have to get Appa. Be very single-minded. He wouldn't have used it as like just yell at everybody.
yeah, I agree. It seems like more of a call to action than I'm just going to be mad at everyone.
Yeah.
And I also hate in this season how long it takes them to get Appa back and how much goofing off happens in between there and then. Because if you accept that Aang is super, like Aang is acting way what we would consider out of character because he lost the animal that was like the most important thing to him forever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine, but like he's not gonna just be like, okay, let's go goof off now. Like there shouldn't be like in between them losing Appa and them getting Appa back, there should be basically no filler and no goofing off because Appa is so important to Aang, as evidenced by this episode.
I think I don't think there's much goofing off because they're still trying to go to Ba Sing Se.
Yeah, but there's
I'm looking through I'm going through these next episodes. There's the Serpent's Pass, the Drill, the City of Walls and Secrets. I guess that one you could say there's more goofing off. The Tales of Ba Sing Se is obviously goofing off. They need to get at Lake Lao Guai, which I guess is fine. But where would you place the desert? I'm gonna go C tier. It's just a mid episode.
I agree with C. What is next? The Serpent's Pass. How do we feel about the Serpent's Pass?
C.
I agree. This is like a nothing episode. What happens in this episode?
They meet the pregnant woman. They find out that.
You remember the ER video where they made fun of the name of the baby?
Yeah.
Destiny, 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 destiny. Hope.
We'll name her Hope. And I remember your joke in the next episode, just like, and her last name won't be less because the Fire Nation's attacking with the drill.
Yes. Yes. We're safe in Ba Sing Se now. Okay.
Yeah, this is a nothing episode.
This is a nothing episode. It's one of those, like, I there's nothing in it to hate, but there's just nothing about, like,
Yeah. Jet and Zuko meet, and I guess that's okay, but it's not remarkable.
And then when do they discover the drill? Is it at the end of Serpent's Pass, or?
No, I think it's in the drill.
It's in the drill. Aang discovers a secret Fire Nation super weapon, WMDs, heading straight for Ba Sing Se, and must stop it before it destroys the Great Wall, which protects the city from invasion. Meanwhile, Jet wishes to recruit Zuko for his freedom fighters, but learns a dangerous secret about him instead. He had hot tea.
Well, he immediately complains that the tea's cold, and then to see that seeming later, I do like how Jet picks up on that. He's not just...
Yeah, I agree. I think that was actually kind of a clever writing decision, like way for Jet to figure it out.
Yeah.
It shows that Jet's not an idiot, and like, okay.
Iroh got a bit sloppy.
Iroh got a little bit sloppy, but that's within Iroh's character to do. Like, you could totally see Iroh doing that.
Yes. I could see, because of his love of tea, he would heat it up when he probably shouldn't.
Yeah. And Iroh, like, yeah, you could explain to Iroh, like, okay, if you heat up your tea, there's a chance that somebody's going to notice that you had cold tea and now you have hot tea. And they're going to wonder, how did you get the hot tea? And Iroh would just be like, but I can't drink cold tea. What are you talking about?
The drill was dumb, but it obviously was not Azula's idea because it was built before Azula got there, and it was a good fight scene though. And
Do
how they,
they beat the drill in the drill?
I believe so. That's when they go in and they cut the support beams, and it leads to it being destroyed.
Yeah. I like the drill.
I like the drill too. I mean, not a lot happens, but it doesn't have to happen. It's just a big fight scene. And I think this is when Ty Lee starts flirting with Sokka.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't think of it. Like, there's nothing that I really dislike about this episode.
Yeah.
B. Yeah. I think we agree on B.
The City of Walls and Secrets.
Could you read the synopsis for me?
Team Avatar finally arrives in the Earth Kingdom's capital, Ba Sing Se, eager to tell the Earth King about the opportunity of the upcoming eclipse, only to be stopped by mysterious forces within the city. Meanwhile, Jet tries to prove that Zuko and Iroh, supposedly simple refugees, are actually firebenders.
This is where the Dai Li are introduced, right?
Yes. And they find out that they've been trying to keep the news of the war a secret from most of the inner circle, including the king.
Oh, yeah. And I remember the end of the episode, they capture Jet, right?
Yeah, and they brainwash him. Because Jet's trying to remind everybody of the war, and they're like...
There is no war in Ba Sing Se. And he's like, what are you talking about? Where do you think all the refugees come from?
Yeah, and I think it's cool. I liked, when I was a kid, I liked the Dai Li. I thought they were cool. As an adult now, I don't understand the purpose. I don't understand why are they trying to keep the war secret.
I agree.
As you get older and realize this feels kind of contrived. They're cool. The idea of them being a secret police is cool, but why are they trying to keep the secret of the war? Like, what is the Earth? I know the Earth King, the king is a bit of a patsy. It's just a kind of a figurehead, but it's like, what do you gain from keeping him out of the know? Why doesn't he wonder like where all the money's being sent? Wow, our taxes are getting lower. What's happening? Oh, don't worry about it.
And the other thing is that governments thrive during wartime.
Yeah.
Like, if anything, you would want to spread war propaganda that just keep the war in the minds of the people as much as possible.
Yeah.
So they'll work harder, they'll buy war bonds, they'll tolerate higher taxes. Like,
they will pick up arms and fight.
If anything, it's counterproductive for the Earth Kingdom to pretend the war doesn't exist.
Yeah. I don't know. I liked it so as a kid, and it's not offensive. It's just now knowing that fact of it seems really silly. So I put in C tier. It's an enjoyable episode. You just don't think.
All right, I was going to put it in B, so we'll split the difference. It's fine.
Yeah. We're going to start throwing stuff down lower. We're running out of room.
I'm actually kind of surprised we put so much in C and D tier so far. I thought we would just be gushing about this the whole time.
Appa's Lost Days.
No, we're missing Tales of Ba Sing Se.
Oh yeah. Everybody knows this. It's great character development for the characters. Seeing Katara and Toph bond, Iroh helping people out, which was nice, and everybody remembers the end with that. Oh my god, it was so depressing. Just see, because oh man, you don't need watch the episode. If all you see of this episode is Iroh's part, that's all you need. Because Aang helping the zookeeper, not that important. Sokka and the poetry, kind of silly. Zuko going on a date, hit or miss. But
what about Momo looking for Appa?
That is a great reveal, though. The end of that is great.
Yeah, I agree. I love the end of Tales of Ba Sing Se, and I dislike most of the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
Like, it just seems like filler. Yeah, sure, it's character development, but like you can do that without just having a total filler episode that doesn't matter at all. So like I would put Tales of Ba Sing Se in C because most of it isn't good.
Yeah. The next one, Appa's Lost Days. Um,
This is another episode I don't really like.
okay, explain.
It's just like
Appa's very bad, no good time.
what's the point? Like, do we really need to see how Appa got to Ba Sing Se? Like, do we need an entire episode for that?
It is kind of emotional just seeing how much shit he goes through, how he gets mistreated, how he has to survive on his own.
But it ultimately doesn't matter because Appa doesn't play a role after this. Like, Appa as a character does not play a role, only insofar as he's a companion for Aang.
I guess. I mean, the only thing that really happens of note is that Azula finds him and fights the Kyoshi warriors. But I guess it explains how he gets the Ba Sing Se. But you're right. We probably could have been. It did try. It's an emotional episode, but it's kind of not needed. If that makes it overdone.
To me, this is a C or a D.
Really?
Yeah.
I
don't like it. Like I don't see the point. Like we don't need an episode about unless you're going to make Appa a bigger character going forward, which they don't. So this is basically just pointless. It doesn't go anywhere. It just shows you how Appa got to Ba Sing Se, which we really don't need the story.
Well, you need to explain it. It's just you probably didn't have to do as much stuff you did. You could probably just throw it into another episode.
Yeah, you could have a flashback for that. You don't need an entire episode for this. So you probably think it's a B, right?
B or C. Let's just put in C.
We'll split the difference as C. Wow, there's a lot of stuff in C. I'm surprised.
Highs and lows are lows. Lake Laogai.
Lake Laogai. This Jet comes back and he's like, now he's convinced there is no war.
Yeah, and that's when everyone breaks him out of it, and then they go to Lake Laogai. And is this when they save Appa?
No, they don't save Appa yet.
Oh,
I don't think. Maybe they do, because Zuko frees Appa.
Yeah, this is how they meet Appa again. He shows up at the end of the episode, if I remember correctly. Meanwhile, Zuko going to leave the base. Barely missing fighting. Yeah, I think this is.
This is just more like setting.
Yeah,
up.
they do. They do meet Appa. This is also good character development for Zuko, because this is when his uncle convinces him to be a different person instead of chasing the Avatar. He frees Appa and was like, you know what? I have my own life now.
Right, but then Zuko just throws that in the trash.
We're gonna get to that when we get to that episode. But this is when he actually questions what he's doing. And Jet dies. So I think that deserves to be higher up.
I don't know. Which episode is the one where Zuko goes through his inner turmoil?
That I'm pretty sure is the very next episode.
Physically ill.
I am pretty sure that's the very next episode.
Okay. So where should I put this episode, do you think?
B or A.
All right. Well,
I mean, Jet does die, so
I'm not going to put it in A just because Jet dies. So, is the Guru going to be contentious?
I don't really care for it.
I don't like the Guru.
I don't care for it.
Why not?
It's just I don't particularly care for the Guru. I don't like him going through all the chakras. I don't see how it's relevant to the Avatar state. I know he explains it and just like, oh yeah, your chakras, but you have to give up your attachment to the world. and the people you love. It's like, but he
Why?
literally doesn't do that and still becomes goes into the Avatar state. He did it at the Northern Water Temple. He doesn't need to abandon his like feelings of the world to do it. It's just straight up wrong. I think we also skipped the Earth King.
Oh, the Earth King. Well, let's finish the Guru. We'll go back to the Earth King. So I don't like the Guru.
Yeah.
I think it's pointless. It ultimately leads to nothing.
Mhm.
So like I'm like the only thing I like in this episode is that Toph learns metal bending.
Yes.
So because of that, I think that might save it from D tier.
Mm, maybe, sure. Let's put
All right,
in.
well, C minus. Okay, Earth King.
There's not much to this episode. It's just they reveal the war to the Earth King. Longfang gets arrested, and Zuko goes through his inner turmoil.
Yeah, Zuko falls spiritually ill. Which, by the way, like I remember as a kid, I'm like, that sounds like bullshit. Like he just has inner emotional turmoil, and now he's like physically ill. But I have experienced that in real life, so it's not. See,
I would say so. The only thing I really remember about this episode is the reveal at the end. It's when Azula and her friends show up disguised as the Kyoshi Warriors.
oh yeah, that was so good. I love that so much. Where
But
she's like,
yeah,
"We are your loyal servants." That's playing the Azula. Do 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 do.
yeah.
It's kind of dumb
So
though, right? Like you have no vetting process. Like
none.
you don't even ask for their ID. Well,
It is dumb, but it was.
these people said they were the Kyoshi Warriors, so
I mean, they have the uniforms and the paint, so why not?
yeah, they must be. There's no other option. Okay. So Crossroads of Destiny.
Great episode.
I agree. It was a good episode. It was very good.
It's you have Zuko think about like he has the option. He starts bonding with Katara and returns the necklace, and Katara stops being angry with him, and he has an opportunity to walk away. But Azula dangles. She knows the right buttons to push.
Honor. Do you want some honor? I have some honor right here.
You you can help me kill the Avatar. Your daddy will love you again. He might actually give you a hug. And when Aang goes to the Avatar state just gets fried by Azula. Oh, that was I didn't
Oh
see that coming
yeah.
as a kid. That shocked me. Just like
It's like, holy shit,
shit.
they just killed the main character.
Yeah. And how
Yeah.
Azula just plays the Dai Li and Long Fang. He's like, this is the part where I betray you. And then the Dai Li don't listen to him for like the first time. And she's just
Yeah, he's like, why aren't you listening to me? And Azula's like, that because I'm a bad bitch, motherfucker. Yeah, I love that. I love the fight. Again, it was like a 3-way fight at the end there.
because Zuko doesn't join immediately. He still has
No.
doubts.
Yeah, and it was a shame to see Zuko regress. But on the other hand, like it's when he finally goes to the light, it makes it a lot more powerful.
Exactly. If he just did the right thing and joined the gang here, it would make sense. But that's what a normal show would do. Avatar shows that the road to recovery isn't always just a linear upward line. Sometimes you're gonna make a very bad mistake.
In this episode, the good guys get their shit kicked in.
Oh yeah, the Earth Kingdom basically falls.
This is Empire Strikes Back, right?
Pretty much, except it's not as hopeful at the end.
Yeah.
And in The Empire Strikes Back, there's hope because they go to look for Han and they have a plan, even if they got their shit rocked. Here, there is no plan. There's no other nations to go to. The North and South Pole are not strong enough to beat the Fire Nation. The Earth Kingdom has fallen. The bad guys have won.
Yeah. Yeah.
S tier.
Just because of the guru shit and how that ties into this, like that makes me want to knock it down a tier.
But the guru's not it. That's towards the beginning. That's the guru's barely in this. That's the thing.
I would have really appreciated today as an adult if they did not show Aang alive at the end.
Yeah.
Like if they really made you think like Aang's fucking dead.
Or leave it ambiguous at least.
Yeah. I'm willing to put it S-.
Sure.
I don't think it's like I didn't like it as much as I liked the season finale episode for season 1.
Yeah.
I think that this episode is more built up. Like there's more great episodes that go into it, but like just taking it as an episode, I think the final episode of season 1 was stronger.
Mm-hmm. Now we get to book 3. The book 3 is going to be all over the place.
Book 3 is where I expected to start putting stuff into D tier.
Yeah. And a lot of stuff is going to go into the D tier.
Okay. I need to pee again. So
yeah.
You talk about The Awakening for a minute. I'll be right back.
Okay, so not a lot happens in this episode, honestly. You find out that Aang's been out of commission for a while. He's grown his hair back. He's told that the world thinks he's dead. Zuko returns home, and he finally gets his father's love and respect again, and he has mixed feelings about it. But he also finds out that Azula lied, said, oh, he killed the Avatar. And he also finds out that the Avatar's still alive. And that puts him in a very difficult position because, like, as soon as the Avatar reveals himself, I'm dead. Things will not go well for me. So it's pretty interesting, but it's an okay episode. That's all. Like, other than a couple of them, yeah, I don't remember much about it other than Zuko coming back.
Did Zuko at the end of this episode he hired Sparky Boom Man?
It might be.
No, that's the next one.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it's just it's like almost like you need to have a comeback episode, and that's what this is.
Yeah,
so
this is just
see.
It just sets up things. It sets up that Azula is using Zuko as a scapegoat. It sets up that Zuko might have gotten his father's respect again, but he doesn't know how he feels about it because, Iroh was a better father. I guess it's either C tier, just a pretty mid episode. Oh, the headband.
I didn't like the headband.
I did not like this episode either. It's a fun enough episode, but then you realize, hey, we have stuff to do. Why are we doing this? Why is he going to a school? Why is all this? I mean, I know he accidentally goes to school because he gets caught by a truancy officer or something, but you could have just ran away. I don't understand why you also try to make Footloose.
Sorry, go ahead.
Nothing happens.
If this episode appeared in season 1 or season 2, I would like it a lot more. The
Yeah.
issue is this is the final season, and it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
haven't we established that the comet arrives like in whatever, 2 weeks or something? Like, what are you doing?
No, this doesn't involve they don't know about the comet yet. This is still the eclipse. They're focused on the eclipse.
Oh yeah, well, that's what I meant. The eclipse. I do like the. By the way, I do like the mid-season kind of fake out. Like there's almost like this is the finale, and no, it's not.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're paying any attention, you know it's not the finale. But like, I don't know. I think it did kind of work on me as a kid. Like I kind of figured there was more, but
Yeah.
I
Every
liked how
other
the
season's
good
20
guys.
episodes.
Yeah, the good guys lost.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's the only thing I like about this episode is that Zuko hires Combustion Man.
Mhm.
And Combustion Man is not a character; he is a device, which is
He is a
fine.
force
I
of
actually like
nature.
it that way. Yes, yeah, I think it's great. I love Sparky Boom Man. I still hear the pop pop boom in my nightmares.
And his middle hand.
So yeah, that's pretty badass. Is that enough to put this into C tier? I don't think so.
No.
I don't like
No.
it.
D plus.
This is a D tier
Max.
episode. Yeah. Oh yeah, D plus. I do see an episode coming up that we're gonna disagree on, I'm pretty sure. However, I do not think we're gonna disagree on the Painted Lady.
Katara's an idiot. This is
Katara is
Katara.
an idiot.
This is when Katara, her heart is bigger than her brain, and this shows in this episode. I understand why she wanted to help these people, but she steals food from the Fire Nation base nearby that's clearly labeled with Fire Nation emblems and wants to help this village, but she doesn't think of the long-term ramifications of anything she does. And I would be fine with that if the episode called her out on it. But when Zuko yells at her, she basically says, I'm not going to abandon people who need me. It's like, that's not the problem. The problem is that you helped without having a long-term solution to anything you did.
And the other thing is, it kind of feels like this is not the first time Katara has dove in head first without thinking about it first. And it's like, maybe you should have learned a little bit, like advanced a little bit as a character in that respect. But no. This episode. Stealing... Go ahead.
It's also the stealing the food. That's an obvious one. You don't think the Fire Nation base nearby or the factory would be like, hey, someone stole from us. Let's go see who it is. Let's check the village nearby.
Yeah. Obviously, there's going to be retribution on them. Yeah. This episode has the shortest synopsis of any episode, and I think it's deserved because there's nothing to it.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't go anywhere.
And it made Katara look bad, honestly.
It made Katara look bad. What is the point of this episode?
I guess it's to show how caring of a person she is and how she tries to get away with it by using the Painted Lady myth. But the problem is that we already know Katara's empathetic. We already know that she's going to put others before herself. And the problem is as a kid, I enjoyed it. As an adult, I'm looking back just like, yeah, she could have obviously gotten that village destroyed. She's kind of an idiot.
And the other thing is, like, again, what are we doing? Why are we... Like, we have more important things to be dealing with right now, and we're not dealing with them.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a D. It's like a D minus. I don't like this episode. So I think we might have different opinions on this one. Sokka's Master, what do you think?
I really don't remember a lot from the episode, other than Sokka he makes the meteor sword, and he learns sword fighting. But I understand why he would feel like the weakest member of the group, because everyone else has, basically magic powers. And he's a guy with a boomerang. But at the same time, I don't mind him learning other skills. It's just sword fighting seems so meh. It's so basic. It's like
It almost feels like
sometimes
it doesn't
G
belong in
blocky,
this universe.
kind of, yeah.
It's like having a
It's
bear and not like a koala, like a whatever, a platypus bear.
yeah. At least they highlight that how odd Bosco is. How it's
Yeah,
like just a bear. You mean like a platypus bear or a snake bear? No, it just says bear, and
this
everyone's
place is
just
weird.
weirded out. Yeah, it's like, yeah, we see people use spears and stuff, but why is sword fighting such the ultimate technique? It's like Sokka should learn to invent something or make strange weapons. Basically, be Batman. He would use the bunch of odd weapons or tools to trick people out. I feel that's where he would be better served than making a meteor sword that he then loses.
I agree. He makes a meteor sword that he then loses. He hardly ever uses the meteor sword, like for the
Yeah,
rest of
because
the series. Um, so what is the point of this episode? I guess the point of the episode is to build up Sokka's confidence. And I agree that it's good that we have a Sokka episode, but like, I don't know, this feels like a almost a wasted opportunity. He doesn't need the sword. I think the sword's kind of dumb.
C or
I would
D.
put this I would put this in D. Um,
Okay.
but I, C minus I would be okay with. I don't
Mhm.
hate it. The Painted Lady was worse. Like I'm not putting it on the level of that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, this is basically what I expected. I hate the first half of season 3.
Most of season 3 is not that great.
The beach.
I love and I just love Azula in this episode. She has all the tism. This is where you definitely learn that she's not a teenager. She's not a normal girl. She's a one man killing machine, and she can't think any other way. Everything's about winning and domination, and she can't be normal, but in a hilarious way.
Yeah, I agree. On the one hand, I feel like this episode is just pure filler.
Yeah,
Um,
especially with Sparky. How it is this when they run into Sparky Boom Man?
this is the first time they run into Sparky Boom Man. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that when they also do the whole um crap? What was it? When they start scamming people?
Uh,
Toph and
did, did they do that in this episode? No, I don't think that was this episode. I think that was
looking
maybe it
it up.
was. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Oh no. The scamming thing is a couple episodes from now.
Okay, yeah, this is they just run into
We'll
Sparky
get to
Boom Man.
that. Yeah. What are your feelings on Sparky Boom Man?
He's cool.
Yeah, he's
Simple
cool.
as.
Yeah, like I
Uh,
kind of feel like he's not a character, but like I don't think he was meant to. Like I think the writers were like, we just want a force of nature to be up against the team.
a
While
second Terminator.
yeah, as long as Azula's not around,
Yeah.
and it
Um.
works.
Yeah. I think this is a good episode just from a character perspective. They go to the vacation house. Zuko kind of reflects on his life and like, yeah, my dad is kind of a piece of shit. You see a little into all the characters and why they are what they are.
Azula also does have a little moment,
Yeah,
like a sympathetic moment.
yeah, when she talks about how her mother saw her as a monster.
Yeah, yeah, and it's almost played like Azula plays it off, but like it actually does factor into her character.
Yeah,
It does
the,
matter to her.
it's great foreshadowing. It also shows how she copes. She's just like, yeah, I am a monster, but it kills her inside. Just like
Yeah, my mom doesn't love me.
Zuko, daddy issues. Azula, mommy issues.
Yep. So yeah, I think the all the stuff at the beach is pretty funny. I enjoyed it, but it's also filler. So like,
Yeah,
where do we put this?
B or A tier, I'd say.
All right, I'm gonna put it in B because I was gonna say B or C.
All right, the next episode, the Fire Lord, the Avatar and the Fire Lord.
The Avatar and the Fire. Is this the flashback where we get to see how Roku grew up with? Was it Azulon?
I maybe. No, it's
No,
Sozin.
Sozin. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they explain how he and Sozin used to be friends. Then Sozin got powerful and then tried to become evil and take over the world.
Yeah, but Sozin was like, "We're gonna spread our wealth and prosperity across the world."
Yeah. How are you going to do that? Conquest.
Through jihad.
It just seems to me that I'm not trying to say that we're better than everyone else, but we are technologically more advanced than all the other civilizations. I'm not saying we're the master race. I'm just saying we might be a bit better than everybody.
Okay, so Zuko finds out about his great grandfather's death. So it's the same story that they're finding out about, right?
Yeah, he finds out that he's related to Roku, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
He's a the only thing I really
sorry, I don't remember I don't remember exactly what happens in the story other than like the flashbacks.
Yeah.
Sozin leaves Roku to die. Okay.
Yeah, that which is a cool scene because he's just like, oh, Sozin is not as much of a dick as we thought he was. He came to help his friend, and it's like, Sozin, save me. Nah, bro.
I think they probably could have gone for like a Sozin's clearly the bad guy by the end of it.
Yes.
They could have gone for something a bit more ambiguous. Like I probably would have preferred that. I think they were kind of going for that, but like Sozin's clearly the bad guy of the two.
Yeah. This is also when Zuko starts meeting with Iroh in prison.
Right, and Iroh doesn't talk to him.
No, I think doesn't. Oh yeah, you're right.
No, yeah, no. Zuko goes to prison. Iroh doesn't talk to him, and then Zuko just gets really angry, which is what Zuko does. I don't know. This like, what does this episode accomplish?
Zuko starts questioning his own morality. It's like, but it just shows the beginning of the war, pretty much, in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like it's not a very necessary episode. Like, I don't hate it. Like, there's nothing wrong with it, but
See.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we're doing a pretty good job of grading on an Avatar curve because C is where you would expect most of the episodes to be.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. What's next? The Runaway. What is the Runaway? Oh, this is the one where they do the scams.
Yeah.
And that was goofy, right? Like Aang was working with them to do the scams.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think lying is out of character for Aang. I do think scamming people is a little out of character for Aang.
Yeah. And
I don't think it's out of character for Toph. That's fine. But the fact that Aang was involved in it just feels not right.
Yeah. I do like how after Toph and Katara have that fight, Katara hears Sokka talk about her and say how she kind of became their mother when growing up because she had to take so much responsibility, and how she just really does care for everybody. And so she's not angry at Toph for like scamming people in the scams itself, though she doesn't agree. She's trying to help. That's her idea. She's trying to take care of Toph.
Yeah, I guess this episode does serve to create a thicker bond between Katara and Toph.
Mm-hmm.
But also I feel like they left Toph's story very unresolved at the end.
Mhm.
And they kind of just didn't give Toph a lot to do in this season.
Yeah. Not until she becomes the Melon
So
Lord.
right. So again, this episode's not horrible. I hate the scams. Like, I don't think Aang should be involved in that. I think that kind of hurts his character.
Yeah.
So I think C is right.
We are going to run out. We've already ran out of room in C.
Yeah, we have. Okay. This is an interesting one.
The
The
Puppet
Puppet
Master.
Master. Yeah.
A tier.
So this, her name is Hana, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Hana is badass as fuck.
She. It's just a great episode.
Yeah, it's a really good episode. The thing that I don't like about it is that they never do anything with bloodbending. Katara uses it the one time on what's his face, the guy who killed Mom.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Well, I think that's because it's supposed to be seen as a forbidden art. That especially when she sees how Hana uses it, and it always looks creepy. It's
I 100%.
it's
However,
useful, but it feels wrong.
okay, they could have won the war with bloodbending.
Absolutely,
Easily.
but they can only do it on full moons.
Okay, sure. That's my biggest problem with this episode is that they could have won the war with bloodbending and they didn't. And it doesn't make sense. Like the moral question doesn't make sense because like they're telling Aang, yeah, you should kill Ozai. Like that's worse than bloodbending Ozai, right?
Yeah,
So it just doesn't make sense.
yeah,
And
but it does.
that's what I just. Go ahead.
It does feel like a very good horror movie episode, though.
Yeah, it's great. The episode is great. The episode itself is great. I just hate how they set up bloodbending and then they didn't actually go anywhere with it.
Yeah.
I mean, to the extent that it makes Katara's moment with what's his face more powerful, I like. But it seems insane to me to have this entire episode just for that one little payoff. Where she uses bloodbending, but then she doesn't do anything with it. Like she doesn't kill him, she doesn't really hurt him. And I don't think she even uses it on what's his face. She uses it on whatever that fire the fire captain. Like she doesn't even use it on the guy. So like what's the point? And the other thing is like they find out how to take water from plants and in the clouds and stuff. Also never comes up ever again.
Yeah.
Like I thought for sure that would factor into the end game and it just doesn't. So what is the point of this episode?
I guess just showing her how powerful she is, like to think outside the box, because taking it from the plants and the trees is useful. It just doesn't play a big role. If I don't,
yeah. So this episode probably frustrates me more. I think this episode might frustrate me more than any other episode. Hold on, Lion Turtle.
Yeah, I'd still say it's B. It's a good episode. You just don't. It's just not great in terms of what's going on. If that makes sense.
No, but that's the thing. Like, I love the episode. The episode is great, but like, in context,
what does it accomplish?
Yeah. So like, I think your initial instinct of A is right. I want to put it in A because I like the episode so much, but it feels like such a missed opportunity where they could have gone somewhere with this and then they didn't. And then Korra ruined it. Just absolutely trashed it.
We will never talk about this again. Let's not talk about this because if you get me started, I'm going to get angry.
Okay. So we have nightmares and daydreams. And I remember this episode because I was annoyed with it.
It's very silly. I get he would be. I get that he would be feeling stress about the upcoming invasion, but it feels like a filler episode. The only thing that really happens is that Zuko goes to the meeting, and that's when he finds out about the comet. But we don't know that yet. So,
for my Game of Thrones viewers, this feels like Game of Thrones season 8, episode 2, where We know what's coming, but it's not here yet, and we're just kind of killing time until it is.
Yeah.
So I don't like. Did you say B?
No, I did not say B. I would probably put this as a C or D.
I mean, I get this. Like Aang is being stressed. Like I think that's good. That's good character. That's good character stuff. But like, I don't like the episode.
Yeah.
I like C minus at best. What is next? Day of Black Sun. So this is the invasion.
Yep.
They did it. They did the thing. So there's two parts to the invasion. I'm trying to remember what happens in part 1 versus part 2.
This is when they meet up with the invasion fleet, and this is when they do the Normandy attack, basically, with the cool submarines, the tanks, the trucks throwing rocks. It's basically a big action episode as they attack the capital's front gate, and Aang goes in to beat the Fire Lord in the basically as like a special forces unit, infiltrate the um not a temple. He breaks into the throne room, and he doesn't find Ozai in the palace.
How do you feel about that climax where they break into the throne room and Ozai's not there?
I like it. I like because it's so well. First off, it's a big trope that the bad guys in the throne room, like he'd be nowhere else in the palace. Like, but also it kind of shows that like something's not right because he doesn't just not find Ozai; he finds nobody in the palace.
Yeah, and
He
there's
just
like
goes
suspiciously not that much defenses. Like they kind of got there and they're like, well, that was easier than we thought.
yeah. And
Yeah, I like it a lot. What you think? A maybe?
I'd say A. The big highlight to the episode is the next episode.
Yeah, I
It's a
agree.
great setup. It's a great setup. It's action packed. It's basically where everything's going well, but it's setting you up for the gut punch.
Avatar does that really well. The gut punch. I think I've just come to realize just now. I really like TV shows that do the gut punch.
Yeah, you build me up just to break me back down, and this is the S tier.
Yeah, I'm thinking
Uh,
Avatar does it several times throughout the series, and then I'm thinking also like the Red Wedding and Game of Thrones. But yeah, okay, so the eclipse has started, and the gang only has a few minutes to infiltrate an underground bunker and find and defeat Ozai. Zuko confronts his father and learns about his mother's banishment, while Aang, Sokka, and Toph fight Azula and her Dai Li agents.
this
So,
shows how much of a powerhouse Azula is because even without her bending, she almost gets away with it, and then the only reason she doesn't get captured by the gang after all that is that she plays mind games with Sokka, who's normally the most like logical, and even he's just like, yeah, she's distracting us, and then she hits the Suki button.
so the one thing that I'm not sure that I don't know how I feel about this episode is that Zuko does not kill Ozai when he has the chance to.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. He just goes and says, "Fuck you, I'm joining the Avatar," and I guess he says it because it's the Avatar's destiny. But at the same time, it's like, why couldn't you kill Ozai there? You're the one who's trained in swords and stuff, and he's not.
I
You
also
know,
remember Iroh saying something like, "Oh, if I killed Ozai, people would just view it as like a brother killing brother. Like it's just I'm
a
clawing
power
for
grab.
power." Yeah, but like, is it really if you immediately give up the power?
Yeah,
Like, would people really view it that way? Like, I actually don't think so. And if it is the case that you can take out this one guy to end the war, then you should You should just
Yeah.
do that.
At the very least, I mean, there's no way Zuko didn't notice the attack going on, so he could have found Aang, been like, "Follow me. I know where my father really is."
Yeah, that's kind of goofy.
Yeah.
But I like everything else about this episode. Yeah, Azula is awesome. I love the gut punch. I love the ending where it's like, oh, like most of the gang are just gonna be captured.
Yeah. They basically everybody who helped them is screwed. They all get captured. The only
If
people who get away are the gang themselves.
if this was a slightly if this show had a PG-13 rating, they would have just killed them all.
Yeah. I also love the line where Azula is just hears the fire going on. She's like, "Oh, guess the fire's back on," and that's how she escapes.
Yeah, I remember that. Okay. I'm comfortable putting in an S tier.
Yep.
It's a great episode. Do you think that this episode is better than the finale of the show?
I might actually say yes, and we're both going to agree why when we get there.
We're going to agree.
Most likely.
Oh yeah, there is that one thing about the last few episodes that just gets under my skin a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah. I hate to rush it, but I'm getting kind of hungry. So,
Well, we got 10 episodes.
okay, let's just pump these out.
All right, we'll
I
pump
mean,
them out.
there's not much to say about some of them. This is when the Western Air Temple.
Yeah, and that's Sparky Boom Man. They're integrating Zuko, which is all fine.
No, they haven't even integrated Zuko. Zuko tries to help them, but they all immediately like, "We trusted you once. Fuck off."
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And then I think it's Toph who reaches out to Zuko, which is nice. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Because she had that conversation with Iroh earlier, where like Toph feels comfortable reaching out. And then she defends him. Like Zuko burns her and she defends him.
Yeah.
So like I think this is a good episode. I would put it B.
Yeah. And it ends with Katara basically threatening to kill Zuko if he fucks up again.
Fair. Yeah. That's fair. Okay. What do we got? The Firebending Masters. This is the one with the dragons and the dance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's okay, right?
It's pretty okay. It just shows that it's a different way. I mean, I didn't know that much about firebending, so to be like, oh, it's no longer anger or I lost my purpose.
It's life and creation and all that shit. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how a bunch of firebending Aztecs went underground and on it, like known for so long, but whatever.
I really wish they would have given Zuko blue fire after this.
That would have been interesting, yeah. Just been like, ha, Azula, fuck you.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have burnt her ass too. That would
yes. Yeah, and Azula, like, can you imagine the freak out, like how much Azula would freak out when she like Zuko's fire is hotter than her and she can't figure out why.
Yeah.
Like, but I have way more rage.
I am nothing but anger.
But she's able to psychopathically channel it so that she can just turn it off when she needs to shoot lightning.
Yeah.
This is a C. I don't know. It's okay. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. Boiling Rock. This is a two-parter.
Yeah. Should we just view it all as one episode? Because it kind of is. Not just because it's a two-parter, but because there's not much to really say about it. They rescue Sokka's dad. They break it. It's just another way for Zuko to bond with everybody. I like how their first plan fails to use the cooler like storage unit as a boat to get across the boiling rock.
Yeah,
the boiling lake. I like how they start the riot. I just think that's funny. And I like how Azula is a better interrogator. Instead of torturing, she's just like, yeah, this guy doesn't know anything.
Okay, so the end of Boiling Rock Part 2 is where Ty Lee betrays Azula.
Yeah, and so does Mai.
And yeah, and that begins the descent of Azula and
Yeah,
Azula's psyche. And I love that so much as like a turning point for her character that I would put Boiling Rock Part 2 in A tier just because of that.
absolutely.
Um
And her response too is she just immediately breaks down, just like, you miscalculated, you should have feared me more. You very rarely see Azula raise her voice, and I think that's the first time she does.
yes, Azula is always in control. And this one time you see what happens when she's out of control. And it's great, like foreshadowing, like what happens to Azula at the end is so perfect for her character.
Mhm.
It's perfect. It's perfect. So part one, I don't know, it's fine. Like I B minus.
Mhm.
Okay, so Southern Raiders. What is Southern Raiders? Oh, this is the one where Katara doesn't use bloodbending.
Yeah. Um,
I feel like this episode had to exist. It had to
I
be there.
Before we even get on to what happens with Katara, we have to explain how this is also a good way to show how Azula has changed, because this is when she shows up with the airships, and we both agreed when watching this episode, season 2 Azula would not have gone about this the way she does in this one.
Remind me what she does.
She shows up with the airships and just does a full frontal assault against the Western Air Temple. Instead of,
Okay.
she
Yeah.
just starts bombarding it, and we're just like, yeah, that doesn't seem like in Azula's character. She would have come up with some kind of plan to attack and take them off, but then she just shows up with, I now have Zeppelins.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's a little off kilter, like her hair's a little messed up.
Mhm.
I really love Azula's character arc in season 3.
It redeems a lot of it.
Yeah. So how do we feel about the main part of the episode, like Zuko and Katara?
I it's kind of, I can see why Katara would want to do this, obviously, to get the guy who killed her mom. And I do like how she doesn't kill him, but not because she forgives him, like Aang was trying to push. It's just that the dude's
I
so
agree.
pathetic. The guy is just so pathetic, she can't really do it. So, like, this is a man living with his mother. He looks sad and pathetic. It just doesn't feel like justice to kill him because he's already, it's not like you defeat someone who's actively in the military, someone who's still actively a threat. This guy is just pathetic now.
Yeah, and actually, upon thinking about this, I was gonna put this in like B or C because I was just like, it's an episode that had to exist. But like, I agree with you that I really like how Katara does not forgive him,
Mhm.
and it shows like the different characters like between Aang and Katara, and Katara that was well written. That's all I can say. It was very well written, and they did a good job with the episode. I think this is an A minus.
Yeah.
But also, it feels like an episode that they just had to get out.
Yeah.
The Ember Island players. So here's one where I disagree with everyone else. I hated this episode.
It's a clever way of doing the flashback, to go over old episodes, and I do enjoy it as it is funny, it is entertaining. I love how Toph reacts to her character, where it's like, it's Toph is being played by a buff guy who sees via screaming like a bat, and she just like, I love it. But at the same time, I agree with you that nothing important happens. Literally, there's some relationship stuff between Katara and Aang, and Zuko thinks a little bit about his life, but ultimately, it's not all that important.
So imagine being me at 13 years old.
Mhm.
I think I was 12 at this time. I'm 12 years old, and I'm really excited for Sozin's Comet in the finale of the series. I turn on the TV, Nicktoons at 8 o'clock or whatever, and it's like, it's this.
Mhm.
I tuned in for Sozin's Comet, and I get this.
It's entertaining, but it's kind of pointless.
Yeah, it. I just find the episode very frustrating. I didn't even realize when I was 12 that it's kind of a trope that they do a recap before the series finale.
And it's a clever way of doing it, but it is a trope. And it's a trope for a reason. People don't like recap episodes.
And I feel like they felt like they had to do a recap, but they wanted
Mhm.
to make it more entertaining than the average recap,
Mhm.
which they accomplished. But I think the season as a whole would have been better if they just didn't. Just don't do that.
Yeah.
And also just take out a lot of the filler in season 3. And this is the epitome of filler in season 3.
Uh-huh.
So what do you
So
think?
C minus.
All right, I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna give it a D plus because like it would be this to me. This is as bad as Painted Lady, maybe even worse.
Mhm.
But
I think the
I'll respect your
offensiveness of
C minus.
I I it's entertaining. It's an entertaining episode, but it's also frustrating for like what you said. It's right before the big like Sozin's comet. So it's things are supposed to be happening and they're kind of goofing off. And it makes even less sense with the beginning of Sozin's comet. Okay, so Sozin's comet part 1 begins with Zuko fucking attacking the Avatar, yelling at him to get his shit together and start getting ready to fight Ozai.
That
Because he
also
has
feels
not.
like that's like something that we should have thought about this before right now.
Mhm. This is a weak episode just because of this. Zuko does not tell them about the comet until this point. So, and Zuko doesn't make any rush. Like, he's just like, why are you guys goofing around? It's just like, well, we can just wait for the comet neck to come or the eclipse to happen next year and just wait. Like, there's no reason for me to rush. It's just like, well, there's supposed to be a comet and he's gonna wipe out the Earth Kingdom. It's like it feels very artificial. It's like, how do we get Aang to attack the Fire Lord now? Since there's nothing really pushing him. It's not like he can save the Earth Kingdom now. It's
Yeah,
like it feels very forced and it doesn't make sense why, especially after investing so much in their colonies, to be like, yep, just burn down all the Earth Kingdom. Just
yeah.
wipe it out.
It is. It's very aggravating to me that like the invasion happens and then what they're gonna do about Ozai is just never addressed again until this episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's like what's the point? What's the point of anything that's happening unless we're taking out Ozai?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I really don't like how they did like yeah, how Zuko just brings up oh the comet and he's gonna burn this fucker down.
Mm-hmm.
Although Ozai didn't go completely genocidal until later, right? Or did he already tell Zuko that he was going to destroy everything?
He told it during one of the earlier meetings, but it hasn't been revealed yet. So it does feel kind of out of left field.
Yeah, it's like, well, we're at the end of the season, and this is the last season, so I guess we have to do the finale. So let's go.
Yeah, these next couple episodes are going to be all over the place. I would put this in D tier just because of how it feels forced. And that's my problem with it. Technically, on a technical level, the episode's fine, but it's the fact that it's like you bring this up now. This is just Bright's writing is not very good here in this episode.
All right, I'll accept the D.
Mm-hmm. You are truly a master of comedy. Okay, the next episode.
I'm not even going to make a joke. I'm just going to leave it. Okay. So I'm going to let me just put this down here. The gang finds Iroh with June's help. Iroh suggests that Zuko challenges Zula for the position of Fire Lord, with Katara to help. The others decide to intercept the airship fleet. Meanwhile, Aang comes to the conclusion that he must kill Ozai after talking to previous avatars, only to find out the island he was on was a lion turtle.
I actually like this episode. Yeah, it's kind of rushed how they just teleport to find June and then use it to find Iroh. But the emotional payoff of when they do meet Iroh and Zuko has to apologize is really good. it's just building up for when they have to what's coming up next. It's good at building the tension. And I actually okay, the lion turtle bullshit isn't a problem here. Having a magical creature show up, we don't know what the lion turtle told him at first. He just said stuff about looking inside yourself for the answer or some shit at this point. We don't know about the energy bending. And we don't know that Aang has come to the conclusion that he doesn't have to kill the Fire Lord. So that bullshit isn't a problem yet. So the episode's actually pretty good, especially with all his past lives telling him, you have to do it. You have to do it. And the lion turtle isn't as much of a problem here, but it will be in part 4.
Okay.
So I'm actually going to say it B tier because it's a rising action.
Okay. So I agree with everything you said. I really like about this episode where Aang is confronted where he has to make this tough decision, and there's no way out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's no way out of it.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Mm-hmm.
And like all of his past lives, like, yeah, you have to kill him. And Aang's like, but that goes against my morals. It's like, well,
tough shit.
Yeah. It's like, either you kill the Fire Lord and go against your morals, or everything is destroyed. Like, and then you get to keep your morals. Your choice. I love that. Like, I love that they're forcing the main character to make a very hard decision here.
Yes.
And I like the plan, like intercepting the airship fleet and all that. I like all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. So given that the lion turtle is not actually a problem, I would go as far as to say that this is an A.
Yeah. Because the lion turtle hasn't revealed that little Deus Ex Machina. He just said believe in yourself pretty much. That's not the problem. Okay. Sozin's Comet Part 3.
Sozin's Comet Part 3. Into the Inferno. Sokka, Toph, and Suki begin destroying the airship fleet. Aang duels Ozai, but is soon overwhelmed because of his reluctance to kill him. Zuko fights Azula and Agni Kai, but is shot by lightning in the process of saving Katara from the oncoming bolt. What do you think about this episode?
I have small problems with it. Most of the episode's great. The White Lotus liberating bossing saying is really cool. Iroh burning, seeing the Fire Nation tapestry and burning it, cool. There's nice symbolism there. The fight between Zuko and Azula is fucking phenomenal, especially since they're now superpowered, and you just see big waves of fire from outside the stadium where they're fighting. You see Azula's vast mental breakdown. You just see how she just exiles everyone around her because she just loses trust of everybody. Whereas seeing ghosts of her mom. My only gripe with this episode, literally the only one, is Katara running out on the field for no fucking good reason, and so Zuko has to take a lightning bolt to save her life. It just feels like a forced way of ending the fight. Because it would have been better if Zuko beats Azula, because that it shows how he advanced, that he's finally better than her. But for some reason, Katara runs out.
I agree.
For no reason.
That's contrived as hell. But I do like the symbolism and the development as far as Katara is the one that beats Azula, not Zuko. Mm-hmm. I think it's more like, I view it more like Zuko doesn't need to beat Azula. Like, there's no honor to be gained here. Like, yes, he's better than her, and he would have won the fight if Katara wasn't fucking stupid. Mm-hmm. But like, he doesn't need to be the one that beats her, and that's a good thing. Like, for him, I think that's a good thing.
I think it would have been a better emotional payoff if he does, as kind of like what it would do to Azula, because she's always been the better one. She's always been the stronger one. She's always been the prodigy, and so to have Zuko beat her, yes, it would be tropey, but it would it'd be like banishing a ghost, kind of, where it's like,
do we really need to punish Azula more than she's been punished?
Yes.
Okay. Look, my favorite.
It's still a great episode.
My favorite scene in the entire series is in this episode where she sees the ghost of her mom. and her mom,
Yes.
she sees in the mirror, she sees her mom behind her, and her mom tells her, "No, Azula, I love you." And that just like Azula has never been more triggered in her entire life.
Mhm.
She turns around, breaks the mirror. Like that to me is the most powerful scene in the entire series.
Agreed. It is a great scene. This is a phenomenal episode.
Because that scene is in there. Like I like almost everything. Like you said, I love everything in Ba Sing Se. I love the duel. I love the fight between Aang and Ozai. Like I think all of that stuff is great.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I agree. Katara running into the thing is stupid.
Still S tier.
I think, I think it's still S tier. Like I think this is. Oh God, it disappeared. There we go. S tier. This might be my favorite episode of the entire show.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I have not. I have. It's so many things come to a conclusion here. It is such great buildup. Even though Azula's like mental collapse happens relatively pretty quickly, it's still well played. You see this coming.
Yeah. I don't think. Do we have anything else to say about that? Considering it is my favorite episode.
No, whoever's watching this, stop what you're doing. Watch this episode right now.
We have Sozin's Comet Part 4. This is the final episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be such a stark difference after we just gushed about the last episode and we're like, yeah, there's also this one.
I don't have problems with most of this episode. That's the thing. It is great until the end because you have the conclusion. You have Sokka and Suki invade the airship. You have them fighting the airship. You have them almost dying.
Oh like, yeah, and like was Sokka like steered the airship into the other airships.
Yeah, and Toph almost falls, and he grabs her, breaks his arm.
And he broke his arm. I forgot about that. That's pretty gnarly for a Y7 show.
Yeah, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't see how we're getting out of this." And Toph starts crying because she's just like, "Yep, it's over."
Yeah,
and only to get saved by Suki at the end, I think, if I remember correctly, with the boomerang. But they almost die. Them taking out the airship was phenomenal, and the fight with Ozai when Aang finally loses it and goes basically Super Saiyan is really cool because Ozai, I think in the last episode he uses lightning and Aang almost redirects it back at him, and you can see the fear in the Fire Lord's face, and he never uses lightning again. But even in this one, he goes from being pretty on par and almost killing the Avatar at one point to when Aang freaks out, he basically puts entirely on the back foot. And Aang could have killed him, even without the lightning from this point on.
Yeah.
And the only thing bad I can say about this episode is the energy bending coming the fuck out of nowhere. There is no build up to it.
You don't understand. There was a lion turtle statue in season 1.
I don't care.
So your opinion is invalid.
I don't care. There was no build up to energy building. It's not hinted at. It's not talked about. It's not just a fucking lion turtle. It's that this complete ass pull to give Aang an easy way out. They said, "Oh, well, it's a battle of the souls." So Aang could actually lose, and he could lose his bending or whatever, or die, and he almost does. But I don't think anybody watching that believed for a fucking second that Aang was going to lose.
No.
Yeah, it comes out of nowhere and it ruins everything. It ruins the buildup of everything that happened before. And even if Ozai doesn't have firebending, he's still the fucking Fire Lord. He still commands armies.
It feels like the writers wrote it without the lion turtle, and then when they were in the final season, they're like, "Shit, we can't actually have Aang kill the Fire Lord. What are we gonna do?" And then they just wrote themselves out of it.
Yeah, they could have had something where the Fire Lord gets himself killed, like Zhao in season 1.
Yeah, they could pull a Spider-Man.
Yeah, it would have been easy. Have him die from his own hubris. That would also be fitting. It shows that this man who was like a puppet master controlling everything dies by his own hand because he's either too arrogant or doesn't realize when he needs to stop.
I think the writers even thought of that when they had Aang have the conversation with Kyoshi, where Kyoshi's like, where Aang's like, well, you didn't kill what's his face, you just let him die.
Mhm.
And Koshi's like, yeah, there's no difference.
Yeah.
I would have killed him. So like I feel like the writers even thought of that and they kind of dismissed it as like, that's kind of a cheap way out of it. But then they wrote this.
This is even cheaper.
It's way cheaper.
Oh,
I hate
it gives an easy out for Aang.
It's the very definition of a Deus Ex Machina.
I mean, so much of the episode's good. It's just this I have a major problem with, and it kind of spoils everything else. I like the rest of the ending. Zuko and Mai meet again. They break out of prison. I think it's funny how Ty Lee bonded with the Kyoshi warriors and becomes one, because that I can see that as her character is just making friends in prison.
Yeah.
Everything else I love, but it's that one thing. This episode would have been S tier. I'm still tempted to say A tier, despite the lion turtle, but I cannot.
The lion turtle is so egregious that I feel like it drops it down 2 tiers at least.
I would be okay with that.
And you know what else? I don't like Aang and Katara in the relationship.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I don't like it.
It feels weird.
They always had more of a like brother-sister relationship, and she's the older sister.
Yeah, because he's 12 and she's 14. That's weird. I know that's only 2-year difference, but it's like
for them it's like 10% of their life.
Yeah.
No, like 15% of their life. So it's weird. I don't think it's set up well. Yeah, I don't like you said, I don't like any of the romance in this show. Zutara would have been better, but I also agree that it wouldn't have been good.
It would have been another good girl, bad guy, bad boy thing.
Yeah, I think
except Zuko's just better riding the jet.
It would have been nice if they had written the romantic lead up better. But it just feels like at the end, like Aang and Katara kiss, and I'm like, that's a relationship that's doomed to fail. I shouldn't be thinking like that after having been with these characters for 3 seasons.
I'm fine with it. It just feels a little. I mean, the actual ending scene, it doesn't really do much for me. It feels like once we got here, it feels like an obligate. Like they're just in Ba Sing Se chilling.
Yeah.
It just feels underwhelming. I think it should have ended after the fight was over, and that's where the end of the series. It's like you don't have to show the recovery and everything.
Yeah, I think that's right. I also think that if they just left out all of the romance from the entire show, the show would have been better for it.
Yes, not all shows need romance.
It would be nice. Like, it would be nice to have a good romance, but like, it's much worse to have a bad romance than to have no romance.
Yeah, I do not like Zuko and Mai together.
I don't like Zuko and Mai together either.
They're just Mai's just not a nice person. I don't see the appeal of being around Mai.
I think they could have developed Mai's character to make her a good match for Zuko, because Zuko grows and she really doesn't.
Yeah, she's just the same person. She's snarky, just doesn't really care for Azula, and just goes with the flow because she doesn't bother with anything.
Yeah, she betrays Azula for Zuko. But like that's it. And she never liked Azula to begin with. She was just there because she was bored. Like, that's lame. Come on. Like, I think it could have worked if Mai and Zuko had more emotional scenes together. If Mai just had more development, it could have worked and it could have been good. But they didn't focus on it at all. It wasn't good. I didn't like it at all. And like, do we know what happened between them? Canonically, did they break up? I'm pretty sure they did.
I believe so.
Yeah.
In the comics, they break up.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not shocked about that. That sounds right.
Yeah. I still want to say A despite the lion turtle, but I can see you put it in B. It was offensive. That's the problem. It's a lot like Jedi, the Last Jedi, where you didn't even like Star Wars. You don't even like Star Wars, and you felt for me watching that. where it's just like
Oh
this
yeah.
is just pissing on everything. That's how I feel about it. It's like it's competently written, and if it wasn't Star Wars, it would have been fine. But the fact that it is Star Wars is what makes The Last Jedi so offensive, and that's the line turtle to us. It's like this is a great series. Why did you do this?
Yeah, they had such an opportunity to end it on such a strong note. Um, and to be fair to Avatar, this series ended way better than most. It's
Yes,
way, way, way better than the way Game of Thrones ended.
you all of you, if whoever's watching this in the future, watch Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah, there's very few. There's very few series I can point to and say that ended well.
Mhm.
Avatar: The Last Airbender, I can say it
He
was.
did well enough.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible, which is way better than most.
Mhm.
Um, you know, the
It's
second to
just
last episode was amazing. It was the best thing ever. If they had just ended it there, I
don't
don't
even
know.
show the fight.
Yeah,
Just make your own ending. Did
yeah,
Aang do it? Did he not do it? Leave it ambiguous.
that would have been an option. Why didn't they do that? Why didn't they just leave it ambiguous? Like, maybe we just don't even know whether Aang pulled the trigger and killed him or not.
Mhm.
Like, Aang walks away from the battle, and they're like, "So did you do it?" And Aang just says nothing.
Yeah.
Which, if he did kill him, that's exactly how Aang would react. Aang would be in a dark place for a long time.
Or if Ozai got himself killed.
Yeah, even if Ozai got himself killed, Aang would still blame himself. But that would be less devastating to him than if he pulled the
Mhm.
trigger himself.
Or maybe even get into a situation where Ozai just willingly kills himself. Like, yeah, I'm not spending my life as a prisoner. And I think that would fuck up Aang still too. Watching a man take his own
Yeah.
life. And don't say that they wouldn't do it because they did in Korra.
Oh yeah,
Ending
they
of,
did do it in Korra.
ending of season 1,
Yeah,
there's a dual suicide.
but Korra got pulled from the air because of the Earth Queen.
I thought it got pulled from the air because of low ratings. Because there's ratings
I
tanked.
think it was a mixture. I think it did have something to do with the Earth Queen. Because that was the last episode to air before they pulled it.
Oh,
I think.
okay. Well, I don't know enough to comment on it, but yeah. So this is our tier list. We
We
actually
did
did
it.
not. We didn't disagree as much as we thought we would.
I actually thought I would disagree with you a lot more, but like I don't think is there anything where we really disagreed?
No, I think all of our disagreements were like between whether it was up one or down one tier. It was
Yeah.
not like a major like, oh, this is S tier. Well, I think it's C tier.
So Ember Island players, I feel like we kind of like we're a couple tiers off, right?
That I think is the closest. I can see your point. And looking back, it's like it was an entertaining episode, but it doesn't fit in what's happening. It comes
Yeah.
out of nowhere. Everyone agrees the same thing. It's that episode's so funny. It's so funny. But it's like once you realize that the comet's coming, Zuko knows, hasn't told anybody, and the ending is coming up. It does feel really weird that they're making a recap episode. As good as it is, as entertaining as it is, it it's weird thematically. And when they should be gearing up, Zuko, this should be an emotional episode when they should have used this episode as the episode Zuko tells everyone about the comet
Yes.
instead of
I think they should have done that way earlier.
obviously way earlier.
But it would
But
have been better if that was this episode instead of Ember Island players.
yeah, it would have made more sense. As much as I do like the episode, it's entertaining. As I've said 4 or 5 times now, it's it just again, imagine if you knew the ending was coming up and they use it for a recap episode.
Yeah.
It's kind of weak.
We didn't disagree on Secret Tunnel. We didn't disagree on The Great Divide. So here we are.
It's
I mean,
more we disagree with other people. The
yeah,
consensus.
everybody else is wrong and we are correct objectively.
Yes.
Do you have any concludatory statements?
The comics are out there if you want to read them. They're hit or miss, honestly. There's some that are good, some that are bad.
I have read most of the comics and I've forgotten most of them.
I just like Azula. She is my favorite character. I enjoy that she is basically the Terminator and is like Rain Man for like evil. Like the Rain Man knows Rain for that movie. He has autism and can count cards and like do all this math and stuff. And Azula is the single-minded focus of destroying everything, whatever she's pointed at.
I think are you like are you being a little glib when you say Azula is your favorite character? Because like I think you like Katara too.
I do like Katara. I think Azula and Iroh are my favorite characters. Like I
Oh
like
yeah,
all the
yeah.
characters,
You throw
but
Iroh in the mix.
Azula is just a force of nature, and then seeing her break down, I relate a lot to Azula. Iroh is just a great character because he is that stabilizing force for Zuko, while also being like very level-headed. You don't see it much in the first season, but you see a little bit of it where there's more to him than just being Zuko's uncle and a wise old man. There's a lot going on here that he's wise beyond even his years, and that's when you find out about the White Lotus.
Yeah,
So he's not just yeah.
I
So
think
that's why he takes the position he is. That's why he's not super like pro Fire Nation.
Iroh. I think Iroh is like everybody's favorite character.
Yes.
So if we rule out Iroh, you would say Azula.
Azula, yeah, with Sokka being a close second.
Yeah, it's so hard to say because all the characters are so great in this series. Zuko is great. Katara is great. Aang is great. Sokka's great. But I mean, of those, Aang might actually be my least favorite.
I actually agree.
Yeah.
Katara's the heart, and I like Aang. It's just we're not saying we dislike Aang. It's just
he's not as interesting as the others.
As odd as it is to say.
Yeah.
Like he's kind of a paragon, and while I do love paragon characters, Katara has enough moral ambiguity where she's a little bit more interesting because of that. Because she is the one who sold the scroll. She is. Sometimes she does dumb things by going in head first, but Aang is always like he's again it's kind of a flat character arc. He's already what he needs to be. He needs to mature a little bit, but he's
That's
already the good guy. Yeah, he is the good guy.
Yeah. And Katara, like I think Katara is probably my favorite character, but that has a lot to do with just the fact that they you can't find female characters like Katara in modern media.
Yes,
where she's not a strong independent woman. She's a strong woman. She's a strong and dependent woman. She's very dependent on the people around her.
yeah, because they're her family. She can't do everything by herself, but nobody can.
Right. That makes her character very endearing. So like I wish there were more Katara like characters in existence these days, but they're just
characters with weaknesses, with flaws they can disagree with, but still like. They're not just bitchy.
Right.
It's not like the Harley Quinn show where it's like, oh, they're kind of goofy, but
I'm quirky.
I'm quirky. Those are my flaws. I'm quirky. It's like, no, Katara has legit flaws, but it doesn't stop you from rooting for her. It doesn't stop you from liking her. It's not like she's a bitch. She's not angry. She's not always catty. She's loving, and there's a limit where she just breaks down, but that makes her a person, and she can't do everything herself. She has to get saved several times, but so does everybody else.
Yeah. All right. Time for dinner?
I'd say so. I wish we had more of a send-off, but we're both autistic, so goodbye, everybody.
Yep. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.